The information provided by the speakers and/or presenter on Facebook and YouTube is for general informational purposes only. All information is provided in good faith. However, Constructive Talk makes no representation or warranty of any kind, express or implied, regarding the accuracy, adequacy, validity, reliability, availability, or completeness of this information. The information provided by the speakers and/or presenter on Facebook and YouTube is for general informational purposes only. All information is provided in good faith. However, Constructive Talk makes no representation or warranty of any kind, express or implied, regarding the accuracy, adequacy, validity, reliability, availability, or completeness of this information.
Movement is medicine. Sharpens your mind, balances your body, fixes your focus. Elbow your neighbor and tell them, you got to bust a move. Dr. King challenged racism in this nation, but realized he couldn't do it sitting behind the pulpit, which is why he sprung into, here it is, the civil rights movement. He marched on Washington. He pulled down the curtain of segregation for the mistreatment in the South to be seen by the entire world. He pushed back against unfair voting laws. He pulled down Supreme Court decisions of division and stood against barking dogs and fire hoses. To be clear, it was not an event, it was a movement. It was protest, legal challenges, civil disobedience, and boycotts, stretching every part of the American body politic all at the same time, because he knew stagnation would be the death of us. I rise this morning because we as a people have become lethargic, sluggish, and sedentary, because we've been sitting so long in comfortability that we no longer feel inclined to make a move. You are in such a rush to go to brunch, to go play golf, to binge watch on Netflix, that making a move is no longer even entertained in your subconscious. ICE in Minneapolis has killed an innocent woman named Renee Macklin Good. And as of this hour, the officer will face no penalty. We're going to have to make a move. An ICE agent threw tear gas in a car full of black children, some of whom are in ICU in this moment. Just this week, one ICE agent has been charged with SAing a detainee because it was the only way he would allow her to get visits. 1,000 more agents are headed to Minneapolis this week, not even realizing, ladies and gentlemen, that ICE is now the new slave patrol. The Klan no longer wears hoods, they now wear masks. They are no longer volunteers, they're being paid to oppress brown and black people. The budget for ICE must be frozen immediately. If it's in Minneapolis today, it'll be in Marietta tomorrow. If you don't say anything, racism and bigotry will continue to wield its head. But I'm so glad there's some witnesses in the building that understand I cannot sit still when other people are being marginalized. Donald Trump said civil rights has made white men get treated poorly. If they getting treated poorly, then black people are below welfare. They want to go door to door and arrest people with no warrants and no probable cause, and all while he has named himself as the acting president of Venezuela. He's asking Jamaicans and Haitians to self-deport, but has said nothing about illegal Germans and Italians and Swedes because they believe, here it is, that if you are black or brown, you are illegal, but if you are European, then you are permissible. Ladies and gentlemen, the cost of living is skyrocketing. Upcoming elections are being questioned. And military leaders who speak up for accountability are having their pensions being cut. We need a movement.
My flesh, they more like you. Ooh. More like you, Lord. Let me hear your voice sing more like you. Sing more like one more time, just sing more like you. More like you. More like you. Ooh. Put your loving arms over me. I'm standing unworthy. Wash me in your cleansing blood. I'm the one to preach and one miracle. Did you say you don't know me? Put your loving arms over me. Lord, just cover me. Come on, sing. Put your loving arms over me. I'm standing unworthy. Wash me in your cleansing blood. Take away impurity. I don't want to preach. Then you say you don't know me. Put your loving arms over me. Come on, lift him up, what? Put your loving arms over me. I'm standing unworthy. Sing, wash me in your cleansing blood. Take away impurity. I don't want to preach. I don't want to preach and work miracles. And then you say you don't know me. Put your loving arms over me. Put your loving arms over me. Listen, lift your hands right. I'm cold and I am weak. My knees buckle in the fear. Let them down and bend the knees. This burden that I hold,
which just can't bury the Lord. There's a silent wine. Oh, listen, the darkness in this world is a temptation to, come on, sing it. My flesh tastes it sweet, and I am drawn to defeat. But they say I'm anointed, holy, I'm not fit. But you're coming on over me. I'm standing up for thee. Wash me in your cleansing blood. Take away impurity. I don't wanna preach it. I don't wanna preach it with miracles. Then you say you don't know me. But you love it arms over me. Lord, just call me. Put your loving arms over me. Lift your hands right now. Overflow in this place. Fill our hearts with your love. Your love surrounds us. You're the reason we came to encounter your love. Your love. Come on. Overflow in this place. Overflow in this place. Fill our hearts with your love. Fill our hearts with your love. Your love. Surrounds us. You're the reason we come. You're the reason we to encounter. To encounter your love. Surrounds us. Yeah. Come on. Yeah. Come on, one more time. One more time. Overflow in this place. Come on, Shema. Sing overflow. Overflow in this place. Fill our hearts with your love. Your love surrounds us. You're the reason we came. You're the reason we came to encounter your love. Surrounds us. Come on, yeah. Lift your hands right now and worship. Worship the Lord. Hallelujah. Every hand's lifted up. Spirit of the sovereign God. Heaven, come down. Heaven, come down. Sing with me. Our Father
break the walls down. Begins to pull the walls down. Heaven come down. Spirit break up. Spirit break down. Break the wall down. Break the wall down. Spirit break up. Spirit break down. Heaven come down. Heaven come down. Come on. Spirit break up. Spirit break down. Break the wall down. Break the wall down. Spirit break up. Spirit break down. Heaven come down. Heaven come down. King Jesus. King Jesus. Go! Your glory. Revival. We wanna see. We wanna see your kingdom. Your glory. Shaking of the earth. We wanna see your kingdom. 2,000 plus years ago, Jesus Christ came and he died on the cross for us. And he gave man, he gave us the antidote for the crime situation in our nation. And if the gospel of Jesus cannot save, nothing else will. And this is the reason we have open house, to go into all the world and preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. And if every church in this nation, about 3,000 full gospel churches in this nation, if everyone will go around their community and forget about the air-conditioned building, you will see a change in this nation. If the gospel of Jesus cannot save, nothing else will. No PNM, no UNC. But Jesus saved. He gave us the antidote 2,000 plus years ago. All of heaven roars your name. Sing louder. Let this place erupt with praise. Can you hear it? The sound of heaven touching earth. God bless you. Thank you. The sound of heaven touching earth. Come on and bless us.
Some people hate you for no reason. It's not because of who you are, but because of what they were told.
People believe lie faster than truth, especially when the truth is quiet. They don't know your real spirit, they only know the gossip.
Some people hate you for no reason. It's not because of who you are, but because of what they were told.
People believe lie faster than truth, especially when the truth is quiet. They don't know your real spirit, they only know the gossip.
Some people hate you for no reason. It's not because of who you are, but because of what they were told.
People believe lie faster than truth, especially when the truth is quiet. They don't know your real spirit, they only know the gossip.
Movement is medicine. Sharpens your mind, balances your body, fixes your focus. Elbow your neighbor and tell them, you got to bust a move. Dr. King challenged racism in this nation, but realized he couldn't do it sitting behind a pulpit, which is why he sprung into, here it is, the civil rights movement. He marched on Washington. He pulled down the curtain of segregation for the mistreatment in the South to be seen by the entire world. He pushed back against unfair voting laws. He pulled down Supreme Court decisions of division and stood against barking dogs and fire hoses. To be clear, it was not an event, it was a movement. It was protest, legal challenges, civil disobedience, and boycotts, stretching every part of the American body politic all at the same time, because he knew stagnation would be the death of us. I rise this morning because we as a people have become lethargic, sluggish, and sedentary, because we've been sitting so long in comfortability that we no longer feel inclined to make a move. You are in such a rush to go to brunch, to go play golf, to binge watch on Netflix, that making a move is no longer even entertained in your subconscious. ICE in Minneapolis has killed an innocent woman named Renee Macklin Good. And as of this hour, the officer will face no penalty. We're going to have to make a move. An ICE agent threw tear gas in a car full of black children, some of whom are in ICU in this moment. Just this week, one ICE agent has been charged with SAing a detainee because it was the only way he would allow her to get visits. 1,000 more agents are headed to Minneapolis this week, not even realizing, ladies and gentlemen, that ICE is now the new slave patrol. The Klan no longer wears hoods, they now wear masks. They are no longer volunteers, they're being paid to oppress brown and black people. The budget for ICE must be frozen immediately. If it's in Minneapolis today, it'll be in Marietta tomorrow. If you don't say anything, racism and bigotry will continue to wield its head. But I'm so glad there's some witnesses in the building that understand I cannot sit still when other people are being marginalized. Donald Trump said civil rights has made white men get treated poorly. If they're getting treated poorly, then black people are below welfare. They want to go door to door and arrest people with no warrants and no probable cause, and all while he has named himself as the acting president of Venezuela. He's asking Jamaicans and Haitians to self-deport, but has said nothing about illegal Germans and Italians and Swedes because they believe, here it is, that if you are black or brown, you are illegal, but if you are European, then you are permissible. Ladies and gentlemen, the cost of living is skyrocketing. Upcoming elections are being questioned, and military leaders who speak up for accountability are having their pensions being cut. We need a movement.
Touching me. They're touching me. I want them to know. Don't give the fellas and them on Nelson Street no frame case. We fed up. That's all I want to say. Listen, brother. Why is that going on with the young Ireland? Because you're a Christian. You know why? Because I know how you beat up my son and I don't forget to know. I forget you know. So Ian, really looking at V4. You go on the house.
Hey. That's all. Something is not right. Something is not right. Something is not right. Something is not right. Something is right. Something is right. Something is not right. Come on.
Persons who were the first persons incidentally to be arrested under the anti-gang legislation.
Former Prime Minister and Attorney at Law Basil Pandey showed up to lend support to the men.
Why were they charged? They were charged, to me, as an excuse to hold them.
The men, held for the past 3 weeks at the so-called Guantanamo Bay section of the Aruca jail, were simply thankful that they were no longer subjected to the treatment meted out at the facility.
This party was, tell them as it is graphic as you could. Worse conditions, you can't sleep, one bath a day, the way you're sleeping, you have to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go and bathe, they give you some minutes, then they want to beat you.
Now that they are out, Gawking and several of the other former detainees say they plan to keep well away from the authorities for fear that they may be given other cases. Gawking says the men have suffered enough and have made a special appeal for society not to stereotype them.
I is no gang member, I related to no gang, I never had no shooting case, I never been charged for no robbery, nothing. And all the people who looking to discriminate me, I just say I leave it up to God.
Lawyers for the 21 men, however, are planning to have the courts deal with the matter. According to them, several of their clients lost sources of income and property because of charges laid against them. They are currently exploring their clients' legal options.
The Zones of Special Operations Bill would empower Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar to designate special zones in areas where there are reasonable grounds to believe criminality, gang violence, or threats to public order are widespread. According to the bill's explanatory notes, the aim is to restore the rule of law through joint security force operations while safeguarding the rights of people who live and work within the affected communities. Once a zone is declared, the community will be notified by way of a notice, and a joint command made up of senior Defense Force and TTPS officers would take charge. Their powers include establishing cordons, imposing curfews for up to 72 hours, and conducting searches of people, vehicles, and premises without a warrant, based on reasonable suspicion. A declaration could last up to 180 days, subject to parliamentary oversight. The Prime Minister or the Minister responsible for national security would also be required to report to Parliament within 14 days of declaring a zone. Political analyst Dr. Shane Mohammed believes public frustration with crime has created space for tougher measures. He argued that this has been successful and will bring positive results. Now, the bill outlines safeguards, including limits on detention, mandatory court oversight, and access to attorneys and medical care. It also introduces penalties of up to $50,000 and a year in prison for obstructing security forces operating within a zone. There is also a $20,000 fine on summary conviction for giving a false name or address. In addition to security operations, a social development committee would be established to address long-term economic and social conditions in affected communities. Joint Forces members will also wear body cameras as far as possible, and their weapons will be lodged at the Forensic Science Center. The legislation requires a special 3/5 majority to pass, which the government has with its 28 MPs, including the 2 Tobago seats.
What happened to
touching me? They're not touching me. I want them to know, don't give the fellas on them on Nelson Street no frame case. We fed up. That's all I want them to do. You think what I'm going on with the Ireland? Because you're a Christian. You know why? Because I know how you beat up my son and I don't forget to know. I forget you know. So Ian, when you look in our V4, you go on the hood.
Hey. That's all. Something is not right. Something is not right. Something is not right. Something is not right. Something is right. Something is right. Something is not right. Come on.
Persons who were the first persons, incidentally, to be arrested under the anti-gang legislation.
Former Prime Minister and Attorney at Law Basil Opande showed up to lend support to the men.
Why were they charged? They were charged, to me, as an excuse to hold them.
The men, held for the past 3 weeks at the so-called Guantanamo Bay section of the Aruca jail, were simply thankful that they were no longer subjected to the treatment meted out at the facility.
His party was, dilemma that is graphic as you could. Worst conditions, you can't sleep, one bath a day, the way you're sleeping, you have to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go and bathe, they give you some minutes, then they want to beat you.
Now that they are out, Gawking and several of the other former detainees say they plan to keep well away from the authorities for fear that they may be given other cases. Gawking says the men have suffered enough and have made a special appeal for society not to stereotype them.
I was no gang member, I related to no gang, I never had no shooting case, I never been charged for no robbery, nothing. And all the people who looking to discriminate me, I just say I leave it up to God.
Lawyers for the 21 men, however, are planning to have the courts deal with the matter. According to them, several of their clients lost sources of income and property because of charges laid against them. They are currently exploring their clients' legal options.
I want to start by reading a quote for you that is trending online now. Someone sent it to me and I saw it so many times. I think it's good for us to read this quote. I'm sure when I start to read it, you will be familiar with it. It says, out of hatred for the cockroach, the ants voted for the insecticide. Out of hatred for the cockroach, the ants voted for the insecticide. They all died, big on in the tail, including the housefly that didn't even vote. They all died, including the housefly that didn't even vote.
But we can't organize together. Why do you think?
Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago. Good evening to those of you locked on to Constructive Talk. This evening, I could have a guest with me, which is Commander Dindial. Yep, he's going to be with me this evening. And we are also going to be broadcasting live out of Constructive Talk studio to the UK. Hello, good evening.
Commander Dindial, good evening.
How are you, sir?
I'm fine, thank you.
All right, a pleasure to have you on with us again on Constructive Talk. And this time we are not just in Trinidad and Tobago, but we are also broadcasting in the UK.
Oh, okay. So we are live already?
We are live.
Oh, great. So we're broadcasting to the UK, 5 hours difference. Okay.
Yeah,
welcome. Thank you so much for having me for your audience. And hello to all the audience, the international audience.
Right. So, Commander Lindial, I would have reached out to you when it was Wednesday or Thursday? Thursday.
Last week, yes.
Yes, Thursday, because I had some concerns about this new law that was passed in the lower house on Friday. Right? This new law, which I have my issues with. I know you have your concerns, and I wanted you to share with Trinidad and Tobago what are your concerns about this new law and the and what is happening. Talk to me, Commander Dindial.
All right, so good evening again to the wider viewing public, Trinidad and Tobago, and our international community and diaspora that is listening to us. Let me give it some context first so you understand that how I'm speaking, because I'm also the political leader of the National Transformation Alliance, but I'm not speaking on this topic as that.
Okay.
I'm speaking on this topic primarily as the former Chief Staff Operations Officer for the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force. Right, and that's and my background for that is I was that officer that conducted all operations, joint operations, and interagency operations within Trinidad and Tobago, whether we had to do operation with the police force, the police service, the prisons, immigration, customs, those sorts of joint operations. I've also conducted SOE operations on both administrations, right? So all administrations have done that, and I've done international and regional operations with the Joint Task Force, Southcom, the Gendarmerie, the West Indian Guardship. So that's the area. So to give it some context on what I'm speaking about. So it's not only regional for a state of emergency, but it's also in the international context and how this law itself, when it comes down to Trinidad and Tobago, affects us and the people, the citizenry. So framing it in that way so you understand, the SOE, we have had an SOE in Trinidad and Tobago by previous administrations. And we have had SOEs by both the PNM and the UNC. The UNC followed on the SOE. Now, I have been a person that was on the operational part of it, operationalizing SOEs. And I can tell you for a fact, and from experience, that SOE is the last thing that you want to do. We kind of like put the cart before the horse. We kind of like went to the very last option, because an SOE, state of emergency, it takes away citizens' rights, because you can now restrict citizens from their movement. You can restrict citizens from their right to property. You restrict them by curfew, and so your fundamental rights by Section 4 and 5 of the Constitution, you have now given that up by these special powers of the state of emergency. And that's why when governments go to a state of emergency, you have to go to Parliament and you have to get the powers, but they can only do it an extended three months. You understand? Because our Constitution recognizes what the people, what the citizens actually give up.
Wow. So Commander, stick a pin right there. We have another guest that is going to join us on the broadcast. All right, and I want to bring him in. So just hold 1 minute for me. Don't come off the line.
Sure.
Because he is coming on. We're gonna get him on the line now. So don't come off. You just stay right there. All right.
It have some spirits roaming we land, seeking to destroy your faith, confuse and intimidate, to take with them as many as they can, down to the pits of hell for eternity to dwell. If we don't take stock and amend our ways, we'll continue on the path to darker days. So let's begin to shift our moral compass now and say to iniquity we shall no longer bow. So grab your rosary and your holy water, let we pray for the nation. And with the water of Zamzam and Quran, now with strong vibrations. All them single mothers, oh God, we sons and daughters. And yes, as we God, I beg you protect them, Father. Cause while some hoodwinking, somebody bad drinking, and we just keep sinking deeper into this hurry. The nation's cries, it's time to mobilize. Together we'll exorcise all these bad spirits and cast them away one by one. I see two by two, 3 by 3. We'll cast them away one by one. I say bring them 2 by 2. I say 3 by 3.
Giving us a different perspective, a military perspective about how he views this bill and what he thinks about the bill. So, again, to those of you who are now joining us and you want to know what's happening in Constructive Talk this evening, we have 2 guests with us, Mr. Manning and Commander Dindial. Again, good evening to my 2 guests. And so, Mr. Manning, Commander Dindial was giving his perspective on the bill and what he thinks about it from his military background. He took off his political hat this evening.
Yes. Yeah, from my perspective, I think it's, well, first of all, good evening, everyone. I really appreciate everyone tuning in, and I thank you so much, Pastor Guka, for having me on your show as always. Fantastic show. What we have here with this bill, I think it is the single most dangerous piece of legislation that I've seen in the House since maybe independence. It is a bill, the bill proudly says that it tramples on Section 4 and 5 of the Trinidad and Tobago Constitution, and it essentially strips people of this country of their constitutional rights based on geographical location in Trinidad and Tobago. It also grants members of our Army and other defense services police powers. Granted police powers without the training of interacting with the public and also with training in general policing. And it is extremely dangerous. Any bill that talks about stripping people of their rights, even if they may be innocent, is something that we should all be concerned about. Let's just strip of your rights. They can enter your home without a warrant. They can enter your motor vehicle without a warrant. They can question you without a lawyer present. When you in the United States has basic Miranda rights. Everyone should be familiar with Miranda rights, right? You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. That sort of thing. Trinidad and Tobago doesn't have Miranda rights, but we have similar rights. All of those things are discarded if you live in a community that is designated by the Prime Minister as a special zone.
Okay.
And the Prime Minister can unilaterally decide which area is a special zone and which area is not. All of this power is concentrated in the hands of one person, and that is the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. And it is something that is very concerning. I didn't think that the government had the constitutional majority to make a change like this in our laws. They are saying otherwise. And all I can say is that I'm very concerned. The problem is that it treats people who are innocent just as if they were criminals. And in this country, as in any country that has rule of law, you are presumed innocent until proven guilty. So all of your rights and protections under the rule of law are done away with, on the altar of expediency. You see, and that is something that should make everyone extreme, because the Prime Minister can call a curfew in your neighborhood for several days and not even tell you why. The Prime Minister can restrict your movements even though you have committed no crime.
Okay.
And I'm saying to you that I have friends who have lived in countries, some of them that were run by actual dictators, people from Liberia, friends from Uganda, and they all tell me the same thing, that this is how it began. This is how it began under Idi Amin in Uganda. This is how it began under Charles Taylor in Liberia. This is how it began under Adolf Hitler in Nazi Germany, where they started little by little to strip the people of their countries of their constitutional rights, and then started to concentrate and center more and more authoritative power onto themselves until they could not be questioned or challenged. We should all be very, very concerned by this piece of legislation.
Okay, so what we want to do now, I want to ask Commander Dindial to come in. All right. Commander Dindial, are you there with us? Hi, Commander Dindial. Hello.
Are you hearing me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you now.
Hello?
Yes, we're hearing you now.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Are you hearing me now, sir?
Yes, Commander Dindial. Yes, I'm hearing you.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm hearing you loud and clear. Hello. All right, let me call Brian. Let me call you guys over and see what's going on.
How are you hearing me now?
Yeah,
How
we
is
hear.
this now?
Yes, we're hearing you now.
I can hear you now.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
All right, sir.
So,
All right,
so you heard what MP Manning had to say, Commander Dindial. What is your view? You were sharing with us your thoughts about this whole bill.
Yeah. So before we came in, I was explaining to I was framing it to what the SO is. So I guess everybody knows what an SO is, right?
Yes.
But I will jump straight into what MP Manning is saying, and comment on those things. I agree with him 100%, but I think we as Trinidadians, we are still not seeing the places where we are putting ourselves. This is not to be concerning, This is not concerning. We are going to be eroding our democracy. We're giving up all our fundamental rights, your constitutional rights. Now, I'm going to tell you something. You have to look at the writing on the wall. You want to give one individual sweeping powers that will take away every individual's by whims or fancy, because they have not told us how they are going to declare these special zones and what is the criteria. There are so many questions to ask that. But first of all, I want to deal with something at the geopolitical level. When you have a sitting prime minister, listen what I'm saying carefully, Trinidad and Tobago and outside. When you have a sitting prime minister aligning themselves with a regime that is out there that is against international law, supporting extrajudicial killings in the region, supporting a government that wants to go into Greenland. And you are out there also saying to the public openly, kill them violently. This is why I say kill them violently. And you want to give this individual sweeping powers to declare zones in Trinidad and Tobago, special areas where you can curb people's rights. Think about it. You're seeing it. So we have the debate going on about the operational part of it. How we are going to go about it, and what is going to be the joint command and the joint force. That's the operational aspect, and that is flawed, because even self in the bill they're telling you use a body cam if available. That's not if. If you're going to do that, the body cameras have to be there to protect individuals. They must have the body camera, not if available. And then the criteria. They talk about the criteria, what would be the criteria. But bigger picture, you can't give an individual who's talking about kill them violently those sweeping powers to go and declare Trinidad and Tobago geographical small zones of special states of emergency. Yeah? So you're not calling it state of emergency because we already had a big state of emergency, but you are zoning states of emergency. That's exactly what it is. And when you can put a curfew and you take away people's rights and people's rights of property, people's rights of movement, They can't enjoy their property. They can't enjoy the movement. And you can be on suspicion. You can hold people without warrant on suspicion, on reason. A very arbitrary thing, reason. So it's a difficult place, and I dare say to the independents, and I will lobby for this. I will go out in front of the parliament tomorrow and lobby the independent senators. It is truly the democracy of Trinidad and Tobago rests in the hands of those independent senators. And I hope those independent senators recognize what is going on and vote against this bill.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. And you know, to be quite honest with you guys, I don't think that Trinidad and Tobago understand what is really going to be taking place where this bill is because it affects everything, you know. I think this affects everything. It affects church, mosque, mandir, everybody is going to be affected by this legislation. Everybody, small shop, schools might be affected, and these are things that some people are asking or want to know about. So if you call a zone of, if you were to say, okay, this zone, Pleasantville, is locked down, that means the primary school is locked down, the secondary school is locked down, MIC is locked down. What? So Mr. MP Manning, how does that work?
But Pastor Google, think of how ridiculous this is. While Pleasantville is locked down and people are restricted and can't leave or can't be outside of their homes from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., St. Joseph Village, free as normal. Coquet Village, free as normal. Right? Monrepo, free as normal. But the people in Pleasantville can't leave their homes. The people of Pleasantville, a police officer or whoever it is, can kick in your front door, search and ransack
without a warrant,
and you have no recourse, and you have committed no crime.
Is this
an aspect of this bill that says if you are questioned by a law enforcement person, you must respond? I have never in my life, and I remember Jordan Peterson, a professor from Canada, saying, I've never heard in my life a law that forces someone to say something they may not want to say. Usually you have the right to remain silent. Right? If you don't want to answer anything, you don't have to, because you have the right to remain silent. Also, it protects you from self-incrimination, of saying anything without an attorney present. This bill says that if you are questioned and asked your name and address and other details by a law enforcement person, you must answer under threat of imprisonment and a fine of about $50,000. So you could be totally innocent. There's no probable cause. You are doing nothing. You know, and what probable cause means is that the police officer must have evidence that you either committed a crime, you are about to commit a crime, or you will commit a crime in the future. There can be no probable cause whatsoever. They can question you, pat you down, do whatever they want, and you must comply with that, even though you have committed no crime whatsoever. That cannot be right, and I don't know how any right-thinking citizen of Trinidad and Tobago can be comfortable with that going on. And while you're getting mistreated and your children getting abused by law enforcement officers who aren't properly trained in policing in communities because they're trained for war, the children in St. Joseph Village running free, playing football in the street. Coquet Village, they're okay. Monrepo. Everybody has children fine and comfortable playing, and children of Pleasantville can't go anywhere. The children of Taradale can't go anywhere and getting roughed up and abused by officers. What do they think that is going to do to the people of this community? Do you think they're going to be happy about that? Do you think they're going to want to work with law enforcement and assist them in their duties after they get treated like that? Come on, this is one of the scariest pieces of legislation I've ever seen.
Very much so. Totally agree. And you see this, and then you have the stigmatization that is going to come into it, because you're going to have communities being labeled in a particular way.
Yes.
Do you think that businesses will want to hire these individuals? The individuals are going to be, so you're going to be marginalizing these communities even more. And you're further eroding the confidence in the police service, because the police service don't have the confidence right now. The police service confidence, if they had the confidence in the police service, the detection rate would have been much, much higher. And we are waiting on the statistics when the SOE finishes on the 31st of January, if they're all these people that they have detained on detention orders, if they have actually filed any criminal charges against them, and what is going to happen? So it seems that the state of emergency that they put us in over the last 8 months would have been a failed state of emergency. And now you're looking to put us under zones of special operations, which are just geographical states of smaller states of emergency, geographically localized.
Yep.
Wow, this is interesting.
So we have no data yet as to whether the SOEs are working, how they function. But we are moving here now to implement more SOEs on a more localized geographical basis. And it says basically the Prime Minister can call an SOE anywhere in Trinidad and Tobago as long as it's not all of Trinidad and Tobago. So she could call an SOE for 90%, 99%. She could call an SOE for everywhere except Philippines where her home is. And that is totally legal. And she can do so at will. Doesn't have to answer to anyone. She doesn't have to report to anyone. Doesn't have to come to a parliament. He doesn't have to explain why. The Prime Minister can do so at will.
And this is how important and dangerous is this, Pastor Google. I am for law enforcement. I have no problem with law enforcement. People are doing things wrong. I've been doing law enforcement for over 3 decades. And that's the way it's going. But if you recognize that the institution itself, the TTPS, is having a problem with gathering evidence, then you have to fix that. It's not going to work by just having a zone of special operations. You need to fix this, the evidential gathering of the TTPS to bring people to court. Now, if you look, before we had individuals, you let the police do their job. Support the police service. Start the system where you can actually have a better detection and deterrence rate, where you could actually, and if you could have done that, now it shows you where the police service. And I have worked with the police a lot of times, but this tells you that the police service has to reform itself, because if you were doing the correct thing by gathering evidence, there would have been no problem for you to get a warrant for those individuals that were actually committing crimes, where you could see and detain these people and see it out to the end, where they would actually be prosecuted at the end and have a criminal charge against them and be convicted. Hello? With these zones of special operations, when you have a reason. What's the reason? They fit the description. Or you fit the description, it tells me that the police service needs to be retrained. We have to face the reality of what's happening, We have to face it. That's what is happening. But you need to help the police service. You can't be going to the last aspect, which is a zone of special operations, which we will tell you. Everybody will tell you who is thinking it is a mini SOE. It is NOE. And the very, very damaging thing is giving one person. Why you want one person to have that authority? And I'm going to take off my operational hat here, Pastor Google, and put on my political hat. Here's where it could get dangerous quickly, where you can say that your political enemies or your political opponents are in that area, and you use that, and you end up getting to us being a police state. Grave concerns.
Wow.
No, that's a scary thing. I mean, what? So what if they decide to lock down Taradale and lock down Pleasantville and decide to kick in the front door of the P&M councillor for the area, or another P&M official that might live in the area? How are they going to justify that to the public as not being politicized? How are they going to do that? It opens themselves up to so many questions that it is scary that they would even contemplate bringing such a thing to the parliament. And the entire liability would lie in the hands of the Prime Minister. And I'm not trying to personalize this piece of legislation. This kind of power should not be in the hands of any politician.
Okay.
No politician.
I agree.
No politician should be able to wake up. Then you don't have a democracy anymore. You have a kingdom and you have an emperor in charge.
Correct.
No politician should be able to wake up on a Monday morning in a bad mood and decide that you no longer have the rights under the Constitution. Nobody should be able to do that. This legislation gives those rights and privileges to one single person without having the check and balance of having to come to Parliament or to have a discussion or a debate, or they didn't even have a consultation They didn't have any discussion. It didn't go to any joint select committee. There was nothing. It appeared in our inbox on Wednesday. By Friday, we debated it. That's what this government did. There was one particular election where the prime minister's answer to everything was consultation. Well, we'll consult on this, we'll consult on that. Consultation. Where's the consultation on this bill? Where is it?
Pastor Google, if there's no consultation, Pastor Google, you know what goes to is dictatorship and police state. Dictatorship.
Correct. And they intentionally bring it to Parliament. It passed at 3:30 a.m. on a Saturday morning in the middle of the carnival season. Hoping that the vast majority of the population would miss it. So you know that they know that it's a controversial bill. Yeah, it's not like they didn't know and they're pretending. They know the difficulty of this bill and they try to pass it by the people of this country.
So the next question is, Commander Lindial and MP Manning, what can citizens do?
That's the problem, nothing.
Are you serious?
But because you have no rights. If you have no rights, what are you going to do?
So
if you have no rights to violate, what is your complaint going to be?
Tomorrow they're going to debate at in the Senate?
Yes, they are in the Senate tomorrow.
Exactly right.
Yes, tomorrow they are in the Senate.
And how long? And they expect that debate to take how long?
Not certain.
That we don't know.
For some time. But I think everyone would have their say on this bill.
So the reason I'm asking that question is because it's critical to know the date where we are today. Because the state of emergency expires on the 31st.
Yes.
So if I want to get my people and get people together and we say we're going to protest, all that them say protest, lobby in front of the Red House. We can't do that.
You can't do that.
Can't do that, they will lock me up and they will throw away the key.
Are you serious?
But that's part, I don't think people understand what a state of emergency means. A state of emergency means a suspension of the Constitution. It's suspension of the Constitution, including the right to protest. So all of that is gone.
And that is the thing that Trinidadians don't know. Trinidadians were 7 days wonders and they take what they get by song bites. And you see these little song bites that you have these individuals putting out and they're tweeting and they have on their little blogs. That's what but people don't really recognize what we are saying here, you know, what me and Mr. Manning is saying here, what a state of, people are living in a state of emergency, and because we haven't had a curfew and it hasn't really affected individuals' movements, they don't understand that a police officer could come into my house right now and kick down the door and say, listen, you are inciting violence and take me because we are in a state of emergency. That's what we have given up. And I can't go and protest. So the only thing I can do right now is lobby those independent senators to please see where this is taking us down. We don't want to be a dictatorship and a police state. And I'll say it, and I don't know if you agree with me, but the independent senators are our only hope. They are our only hope right now to stop this bill.
Correct.
Wow. I am sitting here and I am in shock, you know. I am in shock.
You should be. You should be, and the country should be. Because
I am in shock.
The more I read the document, the angrier I became. Because you can see what it is doing, and you can see why it is they're rushing it through, and why it is they try to pass it under the cover of darkness at 4 o'clock on a Saturday morning. You know, it is the attempt at deception also that is disturbing and underhanded. If you think that this is the right thing, then come out and have a discussion with the national community and say what you're doing and say why it is you're doing it. That's not what they did. They bring it out with nobody watching and try to pass it as quickly as possible. And now they passed it to before the end of the SOE, so nobody could protest about it. They know what they're doing.
Wow.
And they're intentionally being deceptive.
Wow. So,
because I tell you this, Pastor Gula, I'm so passionate about this bill not being passed. I would definitely go out there and protest, you know, and you might see me out there still. I might have to look for a pro bono lawyer because they're going to take me. But that will happen.
I think this bill is worth going to jail for.
I think so.
I think it's worth going to prison for. Because it's not just you, it's for future generations. I'm saying it again. No politician should have the right to strip anybody of their constitutionally protected rights. Those rights were there to protect us from our leaders in some cases. It is to protect us from people who would try to abuse us, will use it and abuse the power that we put in their hands under the rule of law. It throws everything that our ancestors fought for since before independence out the window. And when I look at some of the officers of the court in the government coming to parliament and just talking abject nonsense, they swore oath to uphold and to protect the rule of law in Trinidad and Tobago. And they come to parliament grinning from ear to ear, happily trampling on the Constitution and people's constitutional rights. It's sickening to watch. It's sickening to hear some of these guys. This is one of the Minister of National Security. He can't even go in his own constituency without protection. But want to come to the parliament and say that it is okay to strip people of their constitutional rights. But nobody has any confidence in them, and that's why the government has to cut and paste this legislation from other countries, because they have no confidence in their own ministers of national security or in the police service of Trinidad and Tobago, and they should just come out and say so.
Wow, I am still sitting here in shock. I'm being very, very honest. I'm sitting here in complete shock. I'm hearing Commander Dindial wanting to go out there and lobby the independent senators. And you know what? Let me tell you this. What upsets me a little more is that yesterday at a press conference you heard an MP saying that they have the 4 senators. They have the 4 votes on 4 senators. You are hearing.
I would have to wait to see that, because I have to meet, and I'm not want to say much about the independent senators. It's difficult for me to believe that we have independent senators so spineless that after they read this document, they decide that they're going to support it. But I'll wait and see who that is, and then when I see who it is, I'm going to have so much more to say, because it is disgusting, and we were put in parliament to have to really protect what's the point of being in parliament if you can't even protect the rule of law? What's the point? That's your whole purpose. Your whole purpose is to implement legislation, laws that are supported by the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago. Here you are passing a law to suspend people's constitutional rights. That goes against everything, every oath, everything that we learned. Everything. Let me remind people, because I don't think in Trinidad and Tobago you have certain rights upon arrest. All of these rights, just like the American Miranda rights, you have the right to be informed as to the reason why you're being arrested. That is gone. Right to remain silent, gone. Right to legal counsel, gone. Right to a telephone call, gone. Right to decline interview without counsel, gone. Right to be brought before a court promptly. When they do have a measure here that says you should be brought before a magistrate thing as quickly as possible. Who knows how long that will take? Right to habeas corpus. Habeas corpus is a rule of law that speaks as a fundamental legal principle and writ that protects individual liberty against unlawful detention. All of that is gone under a state of emergency. Your rights are gone. You cannot even complain because you don't have anything to complain about. They cannot violate rights that you don't have. I have had sleepless nights since I read this document, and I think the country should be worried.
You alone? So okay. So let's go back to the legislation and to this bill. Commander Lindial, you were saying to us earlier on, before Mr. Manning came on, that being a part of the military in Trinidad and Tobago, you are part of some of these, pardon?
Yeah, in some of these SOEs, I've been part of both SOEs. I've been part 3 decades plus in the military, so I've been part of all the SOEs from both administrations.
And okay, so you are part. So were you aware, or were you a part of from the 2010? From 2011, the 2011 SOE?
Yes, that is still in the force.
All right.
So part of the operation. So let me give you and rubbish immediately. As I said, my hashtag is keeping it simple and truthful. Let me rubbish the idea where people are saying that we need a SOE in Trinidad and Tobago for law enforcement. We don't. Right? Any operation that is carried out by the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, and you're hearing them saying, we have all the information that has now been translated into intelligence. Because we know information, you have to translate it into intelligence. They know all the gangs. They know where the gangs operate. They know all of this. If you have all this intelligence, I can tell you, you can have an intelligent-led operation, present your evidence to the magistrate will grant you a warrant, and you can go and do all these things that you're talking about without taking away people's rights in a community. What we are talking about, it also tells you if you need the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force to support you in any operation, the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force has an obligation to do that. You tell as a police officer, as a commissioner of police, you're running an operation in order to carry out this exercise, and it's an exercise in a particular area, and you need a cordon, you need an inner and outer cordon, you need support because you figure things will happen here and this way, and the operation is planned, and you can go in and do that exercise and operations based on the warrant that because you have intelligence led. What you're all saying right now, you have intelligence, and the police service will be supported by the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force, and you will be able to bring out all these elements that you're looking for under a warrant, under the legal aspect. But you do not have to take away people's fundamental rights. You can't do that. Because when you do that, you still end up in a position where these people, you can't take the evidence to court because you don't have the evidence trail to secure a conviction. That's the thing. You do not need a state of emergency, and you do not need a zone of special operation. And we'll go back. You have legislation. Trinidad and Tobago has signed almost every piece of legislation. We are the legislation capital of the world. If you check all these things with the UN Charter, we signed up everything. What we don't have is people enforcing them properly. We have the gang laws, the gang legislation, and what have they done with that? Have they ever used it?
Right. It was the same government now in opposition that was blocking the renewal of the anti-bail bills and some of the other bills out there that the police service and even the commissioner of police at the time were calling and crying for. They were blocking every crime-fighting initiative of the previous government that required their support. And they don't want to remind you of them. They want to dismantle our national security system in 2010. Yet they now want to talk about other political parties being in league with drug dealers and criminals in this country. And the evidence just does not support what they're saying. Now they come to Parliament with a law that concentrates power in the hands of the Prime Minister, whoever that may be, and gives the Prime Minister the unilateral ability to strip entire communities of their constitutional rights. That cannot be right. And the people who say, well, it worked in Jamaica, that is not so. There were many complaints in Jamaica. There were many complaints from the international organizations. There were many complaints from the Jamaican people. And also, using Jamaica as an example, ignores the racial complexities of Trinidad and Tobago. I think all of us know exactly which communities are going to be targeted and who are going to be paraded on the television every evening on the news, going to prison. They're going to be the same people who they've stereotyped and degraded for years in this country. And the sad part is that because they were arrested and detained and paraded in front of the country, does not mean that they were guilty.
But here this question, Mr. Manning. Here this question somebody's asking. Somebody's asking this question. They're saying, and Commander India, you could weigh in on it, on this question. They're asking this question. Boy, hey, watch that. People are saying, or somebody's asking, if I'm at work in Port of Spain, and my area was called or was given this zone was zoned off, right? So I'm at work, I'm leaving work from Port of Spain to come to San Fernando, and I find out that my community is now zoned off. Where am I going to get a taxi to go home? 1, 2, how am I supposed to get in contact with my children? Let's say my children are at home.
Yeah.
What are the provisions that are being made for things like these?
You probably could, but they could decide which motor vehicles can enter your community and which can leave. They can decide to search every vehicle that enters and leaves your community without any probable cause whatsoever. Right? They can decide to do all of that. They can decide to kick in your front door with your children at home, terrorize your children, say they're searching for guns, searching for drugs, find none, and then you have no recourse whatsoever because all your rights have been suspended, traumatize your whole family, and there'll be nothing you could do about it. And that is the problem. The same thing happened in Jamaica. And many people were upset by many of the local agencies, many of the Jamaican citizens, and also the international bodies, some of the humanities.
Humanity. Oh, so can't we reach out to them to somewhat support us or give us some support?
We have been some of the humanitarian organizations. We may have to. I just hope that good sense prevails and that some of our independent senators put on their big boy shorts and decide to do what is right. Because I'm telling you, I don't know anybody who is capable of reading and understanding can read this bill and support it. And I promise you that history will not be kind to the people who sit down in this parliament and decide to support this kind of legislation. It turns our prime minister into an emperor. And that is what democracy is totally against. That is what democracy is supposed to shield our country and our people from. And this does not do that.
Commander India.
And to add on your guest question, that really goes down to more the operational level. But that is where the hands off. That is where they throw you under the bus. That is because the prime minister, whoever that may be, would have already decided where the zone is. They would now hand off and say, listen, I didn't say when to do the curfew, and I didn't say the curfew need to be here on which vehicles to check over. So they would now distance themselves and put through the joint command and the joint force leaders, which are the commissioner of police and the chief of defense staff, under the bus, because they will now say, listen, I am not saying this. I already put the zone. I declared the zone because they told me the information.
Just like the licensing officers with the fines and so on. They blame the licensing officers for everything, but you implemented the fines.
But I want to bring it to something more international than that. It's when you have a secretary of war. We heard about extrajudicial killings in the waters or just outside our territorial waters or in. We don't know yet because nobody said. But the secretary of war, Pete Hegseth, said he was not in the room when the general made the command to shoot the survivors in the water. The final kill command. And those are the things I tell you. We have to look at the writing on the wall. That is what they're going to do. They're going to throw them under the bus and say, I didn't do it. But the reality is it happened. So the abuses may happen. But because they haven't been trained properly to it for that civic military interface that they're talking about. And it will not work, as the MP was saying. Jamaica's cultural dynamic is different. It's totally different. The parish system is different. And if you read the Caribbean Research and Policy paper, the last thing was that was 2024, the Caribbean Research and Policy paper, institute, right? So the Caribbean Research and Policy Institute, which resides in Jamaica, they tell you that the zones of special operation needs to be revamped. It's not working because the core thing in Jamaica is land tenure. When people are there, the gangs have been moving them out because they didn't have land in the area and they would move them out. So it was to give them land tenure. So it's different dynamics, totally different in Trinidad and Tobago. They had Dodos Coke. We don't have Dodos Coke. We have a different type of gang dynamic. And we know who the gang is.
And that brings you another question. So you're only going to be looking at people at the street level. What about white-collar crime in Trinidad and Tobago?
Great.
Right? How are we going to have SOEs in some of these areas where the real gangsters who are committing white-collar crime, who are committing tax fraud, who are committing money laundering? Are we gonna have SOEs in communities like that? Are we gonna have SOEs in communities of people who are charged out on bail for tax fraud on motor vehicles? Are we going to have that there too? So it is completely and totally discriminatory. It's only going to be one group of people that are affected by this piece of legislation. And it's not going to be anybody living in any of the nice areas in Trinidad and Tobago. It's only going to be poor people. And that's why I say the government has declared war on the poor of this country, because only poor people will be affected and people living in vulnerable communities are going to be affected by this legislation. No one else. Right? We have when the TTRA was being developed, they said we have a tax gap in this country of about 10 billion TT dollars. That is people who are not paying taxes of about 10 billion annually. Is that legislation going to affect any of those persons? Any of it going to be used to bring any of those persons before the law and to heal so that they can be held accountable for their crime? Or is it just going to be poor people who trying to make an innocent living and have the misfortune of living in the wrong community?
And what you hear MP Manning echoing there is the criteria. And remember, as I started off my conversation and the criteria. What is the criteria? We are only hearing about the data, but they're not telling us what the criteria is. Because you can use murders as a criteria, but sometimes murders are happening in a community or an area, but the people who are actually committing the murders don't live in the community. They're from other areas. They're outside, but they travel and migrate into these areas and they commit these crimes of murders. Or is it going to be robbery? Is it going to be convicted criminals? What are you going to use convicted criminals' address? Or are you just going to use individuals that have been arrested and they're still awaiting trial? Is it going to be their permanent address you're going to use? Is it going to be the address that they reside at now permanently? Because murders and those things, is migratory. It moves around the community. So there's so many questions to answer that, it's just they leave it vague.
Yeah, and that leads me to a question also. Let's say a kidnapping occurs and you have intelligence that it's someone from Beetham Gardens or a team of guys from Beetham Gardens. So is it every time there's a kidnapping, you're going to lock down all of Beetham Gardens because of a handful of individuals committing a crime? So all the honest, hard-working people in Beetham Gardens, they have to suffer too, even though they have committed absolutely no crime? That is exactly what our justice system is supposed to prevent. You are innocent until proven guilty, but now you're being punished even though you have done nothing at all. You're being treated as if you are guilty when you have done nothing to pay for someone else's crime. We have a justice system built on a principle that they rather have a guilty man go free than an innocent man go to prison. But here you are, minding your own business, and you getting locked down in your home. You losing your rights to someone entering your home or entering your car, to somebody approaching you on the street and interrogating you as if you committed a crime. All those protections are gone because of the fault of someone else. That cannot be right.
Wow. And possible, if you think it true, what he's saying, right? You go and you do all this. We have had all this, the whole year of state of emergency, and you haven't had anyone convicted.
No, and that is but Commander Daniel, and even in the last SOE that we had in 2011, persons have become millionaires off of the state because every one of them, they had to release them, and none of them were convicted of any crime. Are we going to subject ourselves to this again? We done saying that we have no money as a state. As a country, we're saying that we have no money. We need money. We have to be able to whatever. Now you are calling this SOE. I'm hearing where people are saying, and people in the military saying, past persons like yourself telling the law enforcement officers, hey, make sure and dot your I's, cross your T's, make sure that you have the proper information before you arrest somebody, because this is going to become, instead of it becoming better, it's going to make it worse. Because there are lawyers out there who are going to make a mint.
Well, we don't want the lawyers to make a mint. Right? We need to stop this bill before it goes anywhere. If we don't want the laws, we need to, as I said, what we're doing here is trying to educate the public, educate people who are listening, understand how the consequences of this bill, where it can lead. And it will lead there. We will become a police state, and you're giving up all your fundamental rights. Allow the police to do their job. If you have and organizations always take the tone of the leader. If the leader comes late to work in the organization, everybody will know, hey, coming late to work is not a problem. That could happen. So an organization takes the tone from the leader, and the leader sets it. You have to have a police service which is a proper leader and revamp the system. Because if you have a measly detection rate, there's no deterrence. There's nobody, you're not detecting anything. You need to fix that. You have to fix your detection in the police service and allow the police service, if you want, let the defense force support them as is the law right now, without giving people up their constitutional rights. And if you even want to say that here's what the SOE worked, show us the data. There's no data showing that the SOE worked. We all gave up our constitutional rights for a year and something. And what? Are we in a better place? Murder still taking place. Things still happening. What is going on?
And as you said earlier, Mr. Dindial, the aspect of giving the army police powers is also incredibly dangerous. Now, army personnel have the right to arrest people, even though they do not have the training to do so. Most law enforcement people and people trained in policing are trained to de-escalate a situation. You have army personnel with the bare modicum of training of dealing with the public, who have been trained for war, trained to kill, trained to do what soldiers have been trained to do since time immemorial. And you put them into residential communities and tell them to interact with the public and don't expect to have problems. I think that is asking for too much.
Wow. Well, you have also degraded, and systematically you have done that. You have seen it in Jamaica. You have degraded the presence of the police, of the TTDF, and you have degraded the respect that you have for them. There's a certain amount of, and I will say it simply, there's a certain amount of fear when you see boots on the street. When you put boots on the street, you know, hey, here's what, shit going to hit the fan. Sorry for using that word if I could use it on air, but it hit the fan. So you have to bring out the soldiers out there now. It's real. You understand? But now you have already systematically desensitized the public to this. So the public is, when you see soldiers on the road right now, they really don't think anything happening, you know. So we're going back to the same old. So you thinking that, you know, I hear you, soldiers are not trained for that. And I'm one of the individuals was against the previous SOEs. And in fact, I am still against all SOEs. I think that soldiers, in my opinion, as an operational commander, that the SOE is the very last thing that you would want to do in any country. Because when I go out as a military commander and you put me out in the street, say, I have a task. I know the goal and I know what I'm going to do. I have my course of action. And here's what, if I have to escalate, and just as Mr. Manning is saying, we don't de-escalate. We escalate, contain. After we contain, we like to say, we don't like to say demolish, extract, and bring it, hand it back to the civil society for them to bring it back to normalcy. Because we go out and we hit hard. And that was my aspect of it. I saw us being put in the streets there as, you know, you really went really hard. You did that. But now what you have done, the criminals are really, and they're not really afraid of the soldiers anymore, but the soldiers aren't trained, as you are saying, to do those kind of things, law enforcement, gathering evidence, securing evidence so that it goes to its final phase of conviction. Soldiers are not for that.
But then the question is left is I want to ask now to the both of you, Mr. Manning and Commander Dindial. Now, the Prime Minister and two ministers of security have told Trinidad and Tobago that we have a very low murder toll right now. Right? Our murder toll has gone down that is because of the SOE, and the murder toll has gone down. And they're saying that the reason why they have brought this legislation is to continue to carry it down. Now, for me, it doesn't make any sense. Why? One of the reasons why I don't think this makes any sense to me is because it is a knee-jerk reaction. The only time you're going to a community, one is if you hear of violent crimes happening, or you get a call that somebody get kidnapped and then so you really, it's a reaction. It's not you're not putting anything else in place to genuinely bring a level of confidence into the police force, into the government, where people would believe that yes, look, they're actually putting certain things in place. We have our freedom. We are able to live our lives, but with that level of confidence, knowing that, law enforcement is doing their job. But this bill or legislation to me comes across as a knee-jerk reaction.
So here's what. That's counterintuitive. That if you say, listen, we're going to think this through. You're saying that we went to a state of emergency,
right?
And in that state of emergency is the last thing that we're going to, right? The last thing, and in the state of emergency, you're saying that the murder toll went down.
Yes, that's what they said.
So murder toll went down, but we haven't convicted anybody.
No.
So we haven't held any criminals, but the murder toll went down. And when the state of emergency finishes on the 31st of January, we expect, because we didn't do what we were supposed to do, we didn't convict anybody, the murder toll just went down, but we didn't put any of the criminals behind bars.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
We expect that the murder toll is going to go back up.
Oh,
and because we expect the murder toll going to go back up,
right,
we want to put a zone of spec, because I can't carry on a state of emergency perpetually for the whole country.
Yeah.
Give me the power now where I could give zonal states of emergency, geographical
not
states
have
of
to
emergency.
answer to anybody.
Correct. That is the crime plan. That is their crime plan. They have none. They're not dealing with the root causes of crime. They're not dealing with it.
But
you understand?
Yes, but Mr. Commander Dindiala, Mr. Manning, this government had crime consultations with the nation. You remember when they were going around and they were this man who was in charge of the central region, Chagolas and all those areas. I forget his name now. And they were going around.
Superintendent Johnny Abraham, who was talking about Mike, and you believe the best thing that Mr. Johnny Abraham was good in his time, and he used to use a radio, but using a radio, and I think he's in charge of the SSA right now. Is it correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Manning?
I'm not certain, but that
I think he's in charge. Yeah, I think so. I think he's in charge of that. I think that's one of the positions they gave him. So he's in charge of the SSO or the NOC, or either the new NOC. One of those things he's in charge of. But all Motorola said back in the 80s, and calling police headquarters said, listen, that is not modern day policing, okay? And running a national operation command center. So I'm sorry to say,
but Mr. Commander Didial, Mr. Manning, come on. If I came out and I asked for the nation to come and meet me and give me your ideas, your suggestions. Nowhere in those people crime consultation they ever brought up this.
Never. Not one time. Not one time. During the entire election campaign, did they bring up springing all of these fines and 100% tax increases on people? Not a single time. And what is most disturbing is that they want to spring this on the population now after they've put 50,000 of the most vulnerable people on the breadline. They've stripped this country of all the youth programs that the PNM developed for our young people. For a second time, same thing they did in 2010. All of the youth programs, all of the skills training programs to give some of the most vulnerable people in this country a fighting chance at making a living and living and being able to exist by honest means. So they strip them of all of those policies, which is also used to fight crime in Trinidad and Tobago, and then don't expect a spike in crime. And then if you listen to the member for Cuba North, the revitalization program, or the Vision 2020 remix, as people have been calling it, one of the projects that they were willing to undertake is the development of a prison complex in Tamina Park. Now, in Patrick Manning's 2020 vision plan, Tamina Park was supposed to be a technology park to create a center of revenue and jobs in the technology sector, so that Trinidad and Tobago could become the Silicon Valley of the region. We will become a regional leader in technology. They scrapped that now and decided that in Tamina they're going to build a prison complex.
What?
You understand what I'm saying?
No, just Mr. Manning, you're talking too quick. Mr. Manning, you are speaking.
All these young black boys who they're going to arrest in the next few days and house them there when they could be in a skills training program instead. So what are we spending our money on?
Mr. Manning, excuse Mr. Manning.
We're increasing penalty, right? While eliminating opportunity, and don't think that we're promoting criminality all at the same time. You take away every honest avenue that young people have for bettering themselves, and then you want to crack down on them with this SOE where you strip them of their rights and treat them as if they're second-class citizens and animals in this country. What do you expect of them?
Here, what I want to do, I want to play for you guys again. So those of you who are listening and you're now joining us, I have on the phone line Commander Dindial and MP Mr. Brad Manning for San Fernando East, and we are discussing this legislation, and you know what? So I want to play for you guys. For those of you who are not totally okra with the legislation, I'm going to play it for you, and then we're going to come back and continue the conversation. Could we take some calls, guys?
I'm okay with that.
All right, Mr. Manning?
No problem.
All right, then.
No problem.
The Zones of Special Operations Bill would empower Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar to designate special zones in areas where there are reasonable grounds to believe criminality, gang violence, or threats to public order are widespread. According to the bill's explanatory notes, the aim is to restore the rule of law through joint security force operations while safeguarding the rights of people who live and work within the affected communities. Once a zone is declared, the community will be notified by way of a notice, and a joint command made up of senior defense force and TTPS officers would take charge. Their powers include establishing cordons, imposing curfews for up to 72 hours, and conducting searches of people, vehicles, and premises without a warrant, based on reasonable suspicion. A declaration could last up to 180 days, subject to parliamentary oversight. The Prime Minister or the Minister responsible for national security would also be required to report to Parliament within 14 days of declaring a zone. Political analyst Dr. Shane Mohammed believes public frustration with crime has created space for tougher measures. He argued that this has been successful and will bring positive results. Now, the bill outlines safeguards, including limits on detention, mandatory court oversight, and access to attorneys and medical care. It also introduces penalties of up to $50,000 and a year in prison for obstructing security forces operating within a zone. There is also a $20,000 fine on summary conviction for giving a false name or address. In addition to security operations, a social development committee would be established to address long-term economic and social conditions in affected communities. Joint Forces members will also wear body cameras as far as possible, and their weapons will be lodged at the Forensic Science Center. The legislation requires a special 3/5 majority to pass, which the government has with its 28 MPs, including the 2 Tobago seats.
All right, so I'm back with you, Mr. Manning.
Yeah, I mean, and from our experience with COVID, we all know how painful a 72-hour curfew could be. You know that you can find to your house for 72 hours? And this is just in your neighborhood, in your community. While people in St. Joseph Village, in Sumat Gardens, in West Moorings and Val Park and Val Saint, moving around as normal, enjoying their constitutional rights. While you can't leave your house and have police and army kicking in your front door without warrant, and you have no recourse, asking you your name and address, and you can't say no. You don't have the right to remain silent anymore. How is that supposed to work? You don't think people are going to become angry? If you are an innocent, hard-working person living in these communities and you're being treated as if you are a criminal, even though you have committed no crime, is that not going to make you angry? Of course it will.
Yes, it will. We have a caller. So let's take some calls. All right. Hello, good evening, caller.
Yeah, good evening, gentlemen. There's another aspect that people are not wrapping their minds around it, and it's this. Legislation does not even have a sunset provision, right? So it means that if passed, it will become settled law that can only be done away with by another government on repeal, by the repeal mechanism. And here that makes it dangerous, right? Mr. Manning, you will recall when your government was trying to extend the life of the anti-gang legislation, they objected to that and they allowed it to lapse. And in the anti-gang legislation was keeping people in custody till trial for 120 days, 3 months, right? Especially where they were held with high-powered firearms, and they rejected that. Similarly, when you all brought the bail bill to keep them behind bars for a similar amount of time, once they would have committed serious crimes, murder, wounded, and so on, and they rejected that. And now, here it is. You want to lock down people in their community for 180 days. That's the power that's the initial in clause 6.1. It goes on to say that she may extend it further. The Prime Minister, being she now, of course, extend it further for other periods on advice of the Chief of Defence Staff and the Commissioner of Police. But listen, she's not even bound to take their advice if they say, well, ma'am, this thing has been successful and we think it'll go up. She could ignore their advice and extend it. Right? And there's no what people are looking at. And the other thing about it, Jamaica is twice the size of Trinidad and Tobago. Therefore, establishing zones zones of special operations may be easier for people to tolerate, because in Jamaica would mean to have other roads, ins and outs, for people to go home and to access other parts of where they live. If you lock down St. Barb's, Nova, Laventille, where people will go looking to go home and legitimate business, service providers and so on. Read about the situation with curfew and so on. Read what's the curfew just 72 hours. Read a medical emergency, right? Somebody gets a heart attack while the operation is going on. All these things they have to take into account. And you know what's good that I could tell you, being from a law enforcement background, is that it will create more adversity towards people who have a poor relationship with the police. So automatically is a keg of emotion and heightened conflict that you will be creating, and who they will be blaming? They won't be blaming just the government. They can't get at themselves because they have their security. They will. And what about the policemen and women who will be involved in these activities and are living in the communities? Are they studying that?
All right. Thank you very much, caller. Mr. Manning? Mr. Manning and Mr. Dan and Commander Lindial, what are your thoughts?
So let me go. If I you want me to go first?
Yeah, you could go ahead.
Okay, so I heard what the caller said, but I want us to focus. And everything we're talking about is the operational part of it. The operational part of it is getting a lot of airtime. The back end. How are we going to do it? The question is, you have to ask yourself, why does one individual want this power to take away people's constitutional rights? If someone can give me 3 answers, reasonable answers, why? I keep asking this question, why does one person want it? Why do you need to take away constitutional rights to do law enforcement? What? Why? What is the why behind it?
Right, that's usually wartime powers, not law enforcement strategy. That's just not how it works. The last thing a government should want to do is to strip people of their constitutional rights. This government seems to be more than glad to do just that.
But why though, Mr. Manning? Why you think that this man?
Because they're out of ideas. They have nothing else. What crime fighting plan do they have? We have 2 ministers of national security who don't have to come in or go in. One blowing air in a bag, next one blowing smoke in Tobago. You have to depend on the 2 of them to fix national security. You're not going to be concerned. They have no other plan. They have no other idea. They have run out of ideas. They are cutting and pasting legislation lazily from other jurisdictions. They do not know what to do. This government is already lost and confused. I know they are desperate. And this is a desperate act. You understand what it is. The Prime Minister is going to be condemned by many of the international agencies for implementing a piece of legislation that clearly strips people of their rights, whether you're guilty or innocent. Why do that? Because they have nothing else.
So Pastor Guru and MP Manning, I heard that question. That's that why. But here's the other why. Why do you want to give one person alone that power?
No way.
Ah, boy.
No way. I as I said earlier, I have friends who grew up in countries that had decades of civil war and were war torn. A friend of mine from Liberia, he said when Charles Taylor marched his men into Monrovia in Liberia, people were cheering in the streets. They saw them as freedom fighters, that they were going to free them from an oppressive regime. Over a period of time, it was in a short period of time, that he decided to start incrementally arrogating powers onto himself and inch by inch eroding the constitutional rights of the people of his country to protect himself in office and from his political enemies, and to ensure that he stayed in firm control of that country. Eventually, Charles Taylor himself had to be removed from office by military coup. I'm saying we cannot take this thing lightly. Idi Amin did the same thing in Uganda. He was a savior. He was a soldier who came to save the country. And he said, okay, well, you want me to save you? Well, give me some power here. Give me some power there. Let me take more and more and more. And over time, he became ultimate king and ruler of the country. And all dissent was firmly cracked down upon by him and his people. Until one day they woke up and realized they had no rights. This is modern day apartheid. You are stigmatizing entire communities in this country and telling people where they could go or come if they have the right to property, if they have the right to answer a question. You name me a law that demands that I have to say something I don't want to say. There's no police officer that could approach me on the street and ask me my name and address unless I have committed a crime, in the process of committing a crime, or on the way to committing a crime. It's not arbitrary. They can't just walk up to you and abuse you and treat you how they feel like treating you. You have rights and protections under the Constitution. They strip all of that away. Now you face imprisonment. If a police officer or whoever comes up to you in one of these communities on a lockdown and asks you your name and address, why are you asking me my name and address? Have I committed a crime? If so, then arrest me. But you ask me my name and address, where am I going and coming? For what? I've committed no crime.
You have a caller? Hello, good evening, caller.
Hi, good evening. Pastor Google and the two guests there. Yeah, no. What really vexing about this thing is that, the civil society that in this country, that used to have a voice a few years ago, they're very silent on this thing. I remember. Hello?
Go ahead, caller, we listening.
I remember there was this chap who used to go freedom of information, and sometimes he just go and go to the Privy Council. I remember the name Ravi Balgobin.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What happened to that chap?
He's still there. He took the government. He took this government he had some issue with them with something that they had the other day, and he did take them to the privilege. He did do something the other day.
Oh. What do you think? Well, maybe he should probably take them to task with this issue now, because this thing is not good at all.
Well, this is not he as Mr. Manning and Commander Dindial is saying to us. This is bigger than just a citizen taking something. This is now we have to lobby our independent senators. They have basically our future in their hands.
So where the civil society that used to have
So civil society can't say it. You're not listening to Commander Dindial and Mr. Manning, You are not listening. People are afraid to talk because, as Commander Dindial rightfully said, they can come and lock you up. I don't think you all understanding this. You all keep calling for us to talk, Commander Dindial is on the line. And Kamala, you remember there was we had a program with me some time ago, right? Where you were talking about the radar.
Yes.
I got a phone call, Commander, from the cybercrime unit of Trinidad and Tobago, right? Telling me to take down the video. Right? Of our interview. They told me that I need to take it down. All right?
Wow.
No, listen, I took it down, Commander.
No. Why would they tell you take it down? Were we saying anything that was false?
They believe that whatever we were saying were showing up the police force in a bad light.
It's too much truth. Too much truth for them to handle.
Right? But Commander, I took it down. Right? You know that YouTube put it back up.
Yeah.
When they asked me to bring in the laptop, Commander, and the cybercrime guy looked through the laptop and he said he didn't put it back up. This is beyond him.
Yep.
Well, I have, since I've been making those videos and speaking about the radar and stuff, I have seen my Facebook profile and certain things I cannot comment on or make replies on, but we know that the cybercrime unit, and they have been looking at us, and my phone has always been tapped from day one, so that's fine. I have nothing to hide.
We have a call online.
Pastor Google, this reminds me, the gentleman who just called. I saw a comment in the newspaper about this bill by Dr. Mohammed. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Pastor Google.
Yeah, I heard him.
Hello?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
I'm hearing you also.
Hello?
Yeah, Mr. Manning, we're hearing you.
You see, Pastor Google, as you went with cybercrime and we started talking about tapping the phones. All right.
Hello?
Yes, Mr. Manning, we hearing you. Go ahead.
I wasn't hearing you just now. We're cut off. Yes. You know what I'm talking about?
They're cutting him off. They're taping him now.
The local Farrakhan.
Yes.
Right? Who sees race and racism around every corner and every shadow. All of a sudden, the gentleman becomes chairman of NALIS, and they ask him about this piece of legislation, and he responds in the most genteel response I've ever seen from the gentleman ever. He says, well, I hope that they carry out their duties without any racial discrimination. I hope that when they lock down these communities, that people's rights. And I say to myself, look at this man now, boy. What happened? When did he, all the time here on the internet every night, blowing flame, talking about black people being oppressed and everybody oppressing black people, all of a sudden now when people's rights being stripped from them, from some of the most vulnerable communities, and we're going to have a host of black boys being paraded into prison cells in the next few weeks if this thing get passed. He all of a sudden have nothing to say. I hope Dr. Mohammed takes the time to read this bill and that he comes up with a far more forceful statement in the near future. Right? He's already denied Jesus once. I hope he doesn't do it twice.
Let's take
because
this
I
call.
don't know how we cannot see the racial implications of this piece of legislation.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, my brother.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
And good evening to the esteemed son of the late Patrick Manning, man. I find the MP is unsung. Is it because the program in his constituency is unsung? I don't know. We need to get more programs like this.
He's always on and fiery like this.
Is it that when
I feel you late to the game, sir. I feel you late to the game because me and Pastor Google tight from day one. He's the voice of San Fernando. And I all be riding with
whenever
him.
he's talking to the grassroots, that they get the true money coming out.
Correct.
Talk to me. Talk to us.
The unfiltered truth.
It's good. Huh?
Talk to us. What is your view?
No, I said that there's a positive. When you're talking to the grassroots, they give you a true self. That means the grassroots getting the best of you. I find that's a good thing.
Beautiful. So what is your view on the issue that we're talking about?
That is what the zones of peace?
Yes, sir.
where they're gonna be they have 4 black ministers, and because it's 4 black ministers, according to what is his name, Winsage, one of the black ministers, that because it's black ministers, that black people
It must be good.
are nothing to worry about. But in the last dispensation, I wasn't in Trinidad at the time, so I don't know if anybody could help me out. But didn't they have black ministers of national security in the last dispensation, 2010 to 15?
Yes, sir.
I think it was
So trying to make sense of what comes out of MP Sturgeon's mouth will only make your brain collapse, right? So don't strain yourself and try to make sense of what it is Sturgeon is saying. It was absolute and complete nonsense. The other ministers say, well, he have an afro and only 2 other people have an afro in the whole government. It is the most incoherent, incomprehensible contribution to a debate I've ever heard in my life. Right? They said nothing of worth whatsoever on a bill that strips people of their rights. It was the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard, and it was embarrassing that they could reduce such an important bill into a comedy act. What Sturge said made no sense. What Alexander said made even less sense, which I didn't think was possible. So don't hurt yourself trying to figure out what it is those gentlemen said. Please. Okay.
You know, MP, my great grandfather, right? When he came to Trinidad from Barbados, he's a Paris. He settled in your constituency. My grandfather had his beginnings in the constituency, also a Paris. My father changed his name in the 70s. I'm looking forward to when you have a public meeting so that I can come and be in the audience to hear you in such fire, because I find when you're talking on finance matters and so on, you sound very technocratic. Like myself, very technocratic, but I find when you're talking on these social issues, you're much more...
The man on the ground, leave the man alone now. Let me take our next call. The man on the ground, you only focusing on that. The man on the ground, I'm taking our next call.
This issue is too serious. It's too serious to ignore.
Respond to the question.
Well, respond to the question now. You only focusing on my member of parliament. Wamley. Hello.
Pleasant good night, Pastor.
Yes, sir.
Pleasant good night to Mr. Manning, sir, and pleasant good night to Mr. Daniel. Good evening to you both and your viewers, Pastor. And the team. I just want to share a comment. You know what I'm surprised about as a young person? I look at the amount of money that was spent on national security. Not this year, but I've given equivalence to the last 6 years, right? And we must be cross the billions in terms of promotion, in terms of supplying the force with proper equipment. As you all mentioned, the cybercrime unit, as we speak, we see cameras were being set up all around the nation to even look at the nation 24 hours and monitor the nation at 24 hours, right? Now to come and impose this special state of emergency, or SOE, to monitor citizens again as special constituents or corporations, right, is really ridiculous. Now, Mr. Daniel has been asking a question, right? Why are you giving it to one person, sole elect, which is the Prime Minister, to make that decision? You see, I believe the Prime Minister is moving towards totalitarianism government. She is moving that direction, right? The way our party operates, they are doing it like that. Now, why I say that, I am just saying this, is because given the political outcome in this country right now, you had an incomplete wage negotiation, right? You have an employment, and when I mean unemployment right now, you have young people coming into the work world, right? Young professionals finding their trouble to get jobs. Then you have other professionals, meaning half-seasoned professionals, are being unemployed right now. They're being either fired from their jobs, right? And you're creating a society of chaos. No. The Prime Minister in this position could even put themselves like a storybook king, So they are looking like now she is trying to oppress people, cause fear into people. Mr. Manning, you even touched on that in one of your posts where you said it could be something similar to the Nazis, how they rule. And a couple of weeks past, last week, Pastor, on the eve of before the bill was debated, I even called in your program and I said that they might be even thinking like how the Nazis think. So that is what they did when the Nazis implied the state of emergency, right? They limited in different areas, the curfew, right? So they're oppressing people. They're oppressing us. And you know they're oppressing is the mind. They're going after our mind, how we think, how in order not to speak out, in order not to voice our views. That is my expression of this whole thing as a young person. It's very frightening to me because I am wondering how my siblings will be profiled when we go out in the streets, right? How we move, how we look. Because when you're young, you sort of have a little, you be a little rebel as when you're young. But you have to be very careful. This is very, very a dangerous precedent being set in our country, and I believe my constitutional rights has been cringed, and I am upset. And this is not a country where every creed and race finds an equal place anymore. I am downrightly saying that. To everybody, have a very good night. God bless our nation, Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you very much. Let's take this next call. We have callers calling in, Mr. Manning and Mr. Commander Dindial. Callers calling in. All right, and we have some messages.
We are, at least we're getting the message out there. We have a very good topic here, and we have good people to talk about.
Yeah, and that person who just spoke there is a young man.
Attention. Yeah, this is a topic that deserves the attention. I mean, it is. I'm telling you, in my view, it is maybe the single most dangerous bill brought to this parliament since independence. It is that dangerous. It almost boasts that it is stripping people of their constitutional rights. That's not something to be taken lightly.
Wow. So you have another caller on. Hello, good evening, caller.
Yes, my brother. We'll be clear. So in terms of that, I did a video and it got quite a few responses. A short video today and got quite a few responses online. And the thing is this. The reason why the UNC sent out the 4 black ministers to defend the zones of separation, right? The apartheid zones, is because they have this understanding in the UNC that if something is overtly racist, and you let a black person say it against black people, African people, and they give an African person say it, it tempers people's anger towards the measure. So what they decided to do was to take in front first by saying you can't call it racist. So by you even responding, they will look to say, okay, you are playing the race card. Even though they are the ones who are actually playing the race card very, very strategically. You understand? So people will be fearful of making any statement because nobody wants to be called a racist. All right? But that will be allowing people to insult the intelligence and being quiet.
Okay, Mr. Manning, you're saying something?
I said they preempted the calling of the race card by playing it themselves.
Correct. They play the race card themselves.
Yes.
Wow.
So
that's interesting.
And if before you were thinking, okay, they have these special zones, people had the suspicion that they could be a return to the wanton abuse of power, where you had black men of all descriptions being herded into police vans, and then of course taking the government to court and winning after. Mind you, the same attorneys that were representing the government at the time, while when that government went into opposition. If you had any suspicion that will have that you'll see a return to that, by the four ministers coming out and defending it, you know that is exactly what they're going to do. So therefore it's not like if you could rest comfortable now saying, okay, well, all right, my son going to play football. There's a high chance that your son could be just rounded up because a police officer decided to take down the whole team. And that was the level of madness. I wasn't in Trinidad, but that's the level of madness that I saw being reported. And then when I speak to persons, I'm a young fellow, there's a guy, he's a master's degree holder, professional. And he lives in Laventil. And the police came and basically rounded up everyone, football guy, himself included, asked no questions. And it is supposed to be okay because all the police black.
Wow.
At least in that district, then, you know.
Yeah.
And that is not all that is not acceptable. So if you want to go and commit atrocities against persons who are East Indian and you send because they send Indian police, that justifies the decision.
Yep.
That makes no sense. If the decision is overtly racist, it is overtly racist. It doesn't matter who is the person. In fact, the person who could have come up with the idea could be black. I'll give an example. In the school in South Trinidad, I don't know if it's Faizabad, which school in Faizabad, where there is a dean of discipline telling girls, and the dean of discipline is of African descent, telling girls of African descent that they can't wear their hair in certain styles that are natural. They're natural styles, they put it in some bun and so on. And then they show some pictures showing what they can't wear. And I'm saying, but this is hatred. This is hate against black people. So it's a black person, African teacher, committing an act of hate against young African girls. So it doesn't make it better because the woman is black. That doesn't change the fact that the act is damaging and dangerous. And this has nothing to do even with the government then. This is an individual school taking action against students where the action is racist because it only affects one race, right? Although it doesn't really, because they say it can't have hair too long. So you have Indian girls in South who will have their hair long as well. So it's negative against both African and Indians. But when I saw the picture only had black girls' images on it, right? Hairstyles. And there's a black teacher saying it.
All right.
And she's telling the children that because she's black, it's not racial, which is madness.
Yeah, man.
Because you hate yourself, it doesn't make it good. And so the same zones of the special zones is the same thing. So now that, and what this does now on an economic level, what it says to people who are doing business in these communities is that your business is going to suffer. Because nobody's going to come into a place that is garrisoned.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. All right.
Yeah, Pastor Google.
Yes.
I was just listening to the Attorney General during the debate. The Attorney General he said many of these communities, some of us may never go or never want to go. I want to remind the Attorney General that many of these communities are within PNM constituencies and that many of the PNM MPs are in these communities on a regular basis, trying to assist where we can to help the vulnerable people as much as we can. And you have the UNC operatives only showing up in election time to hand out goodies and try to fool people with stove and jersey with money in it. I'm trying to play people's minds, but they don't understand these communities and they treat them with disdain, and that's why they feel comfortable passing laws that treat them like second-class citizens.
Wow.
It cannot be right for the Prime Minister to decide to strip a group of people in this country of their constitutional rights and other people remain protected. That I don't know how anybody could justify that, and I just don't get it.
We have another caller.
Pastor Google, if I may.
Yes.
Yeah, and I will agree with MP Banning's there comments of our AG. And it's how could you be in the highest seat of government, you're in Parliament, and being discriminatory? You can't be saying those things. People look up to you. You have
as an officer of the court.
Oh my goodness. And it's very discriminatory what he's saying. And you know, you can't be doing that. And you have the government supporting it. You have the prime minister supporting it. The next to him, then they're clapping and they're supporting it. But I like to stay away more from, you see, when we start to talk about racial discrimination, I like to stay away from that, because you have the people, we know the government played that card. You have them talk about black people. What do you mean by black people? All of us black. And it is going to be discriminatory, because here's what is not only, I will go back to say, one of the biggest criminals in Trinidad and Tobago was Dole Chedi, right? So let me don't go there. You have to remember what's going on. But the bill is discriminatory in the way how it's going to be treating us as individuals and taking away our constitutional rights for everybody, every person across, whether it's a Chinese, whether you whatever. You're Portuguese living here, it's everyone. Once you are a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, you are losing your constitutional rights. And that's a big picture.
All right, let's take this call. Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good night. You had a caller on just now saying that the bill is a racist bill and so on. I don't think so, because I went to Jamaica, a country that has 90-95% black people, with an African government, basically, African prime minister, and they took a copy of the bill from there. The citizens on the ground, all they care about is safety and their well-being. That's it. And whatever a government could do to make the mass majority of citizens feel safe and be safe, the people want that. And I heard Mr. Manning saying that the UNC passing around giving out money in jersey. Well, I want him to know that I collected a PNM jersey with money in it for the past election to vote for the PNM, but I did not.
So if I come to your house and kick in your front door every Friday for the next 2 years and say it's to keep
so here
to
it
keep
is. So
the
what you're
community
saying is,
safe, you'll be comfortable with
listen,
that?
it had the SOE on for the past however long since the government won the election. And it didn't affect my house. It didn't affect none of my neighbors. In fact, I don't know anybody's house it affected.
That was a national SOE. This is a community
right. I don't
SOE.
know any. I don't know
But
anybody house who was affected.
All right, but caller, listen to what you see. The difference between what is being proposed and what is happening now. Let me tell you what's the difference. The difference is that my community, Orchid Gardens, can be called a zone. Right, the Prime Minister could stay in Philippines, which is right across the road, and decide that Pleasantville is to be locked down. I work Port of Spain. So let's say she decide in Philippines that she sent out a notification while I am at work that she locking down Pleasantville. The question is asked, how are coming home?
Yeah, but what
just
I'm
wait,
saying,
just now.
National Security Council that
No, it's not the National Security Council, sir. It's the Prime Minister is making that decision based on advice from the police.
They advise the Prime Minister, but the Prime Minister has the final and ultimate say in the matter. There's no council.
It's not no council. It's the Prime Minister who's making the decision. That is why Commander Dindial is saying that it is a dictatorship.
So she is just going to get up and say that Arima has to be locked down, and that's going to be her sole decision.
And what we're saying is that let's just say that I am the sergeant in charge of San Fernando Police Station, right? And I call the Prime Minister and I say to her, Ma'am, I find there's an uptick in violence in Pleasantville. Could you put a zone of so-and-so in Pleasantville, call a zone of so-and-so in Pleasantville, put out a notification of a zone of so-and-so in Pleasantville, and she can do that.
But then if it is the sergeant call or the inspector call and ask for that, based on information that he has, isn't that the right thing to do?
Why she should be the sole person to do it?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, listen
so,
to what
sir,
I'm saying.
wait, just now. So you don't see anything wrong, because in your mind before, you were ready to argue the point that is a council, the way you call it, council that's going to do it, right? We just corrected you and said to you, no, sir, it's not them. It is only the Prime Minister. You're coming out to debate and say that it is right that she allowed to do it.
What I'm saying is, she has to get advice from all the other members.
No, sir. You did not listen to the debate.
Pastor Google, if I
But
may
what
ask
about
you,
but
Listen,
in
listen,
reality,
listen to Commander. Listen to Commander Dindial caller.
Uh-huh.
Go ahead,
So I just
Commander.
want to ask you
Go ahead.
a question, Uncle. Right? You're talking about things that the police will say that they want to do that, right? Why
Right.
do you need a zone of special operations for the police to do their job if they know you're doing something wrong? Why must the police ask for a whole community to give up their constitutional rights that you can't go if I have information based on intelligence that you are a drug dealer or you have guns or you're committing a certain crime in your area and I could go into your house and why do I need the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago to declare the entire area a zone for everybody to give up there, for the police to do their job?
Why they need that?
Yeah.
Yeah, why?
Because listen, you all lost touch with the people on the ground, the mass majority of people on the ground. All the mass majority of citizens who law-abiding and hard-working want is to be safe and feel safe. That's it.
So let me ask you this.
Yes, but
so
why-
with the
but
so with
why-
the
hold on,
SOE,
but why-
That's
why
it.
do you think-
It was
why do you think that
it was
this
very
will do that?
simple.
So if your neighbor is a drug dealer, and every Friday the police come and kick in your door and search your home in the name of keeping your community safe, would you be comfortable with that?
But Mr. Manning, this is what I'm telling you. It had a SOE in place, right? A state of emergency, and I don't know anybody house who did get kicked down, and I live in a massive area.
yeah, but we're saying that no, with this zone of thing that they're going to do, sir. It is, if you read the legislation, it is different to what we are experiencing now.
Listen, the government could bring legislation that will make and ensure the citizens feel safe, and that is what all the citizens want.
So
Good
how
law-abiding
do you
citizens.
feel right now? Do you feel safe right now in the present state of emergency?
In a national SOE.
What is that?
Will you feel
Do
safe?
you feel safe?
Mhm. Go ahead, Mr.
Do you feel safe presently in this state of emergency that we're in? Do you feel safe?
I feel much safer than before. Yeah.
So then why do we need this zone of thing then?
I mean, you can't start a momentum and getting crime down and stop. You have to continue the momentum.
All right, sir. All right. I hope that when it start to really affect citizens, that you would call in and say they need to stop it.
If this bill affects the mass majority of citizens of Trinidad and Tobago that you could see, understand, and hear, I will come out and rally against it.
It's not mass majority. It's any innocent person. Our laws are designed to protect any person of Trinidad and Tobago. You have the right of presumed innocence.
Listen.
So wait,
and a family member that passed away, who innocent, law-abiding, hard-working, from criminals.
So let me ask you this, caller. Let me ask you.
Right.
Let me ask you this, caller. You said just now that you don't know nobody who were wrongfully locked up under this SOE.
No.
And do you know? So the guy who they locked up saying that he threatened to kill a government minister that they had to release the other day, innocent man. What about the other gentleman?
Wait. You say the guy who they lock up who threatened the minister, innocent man? That's what you say?
But the man they had to release him because he was innocent.
He innocent, okay.
But if he was not innocent, sir, they would have kept him in custody.
All right. Well, if you say so.
But you know different. If you know different, then the police need to go back and lock him up. Because you have evidence. I am saying based on what the reports have been given, and the minister said it on a press conference.
Listen, you know the guy that they locked up and released?
He is released.
Yeah, but you know him?
But I am saying to you that the minister said that they released the man.
All right. Yeah, I saw it on TV.
So then so you come in.
Going with what you say, he innocent.
But if he is not innocent, why is he free?
Well, it's time will tell, huh?
Well, you have a good evening, sir. Have a good evening.
All right,
have a good evening.
Have a good evening.
Everybody.
Hello, good evening, sir.
I wish that gentleman well.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good night, Pastor Google.
Manchester United, they have to raise the volume.
Oh God, I don't know the volume on the TV.
Yeah, well, yeah, turn it down because we hearing you very soft.
Right, how we now?
You're still soft, Manchester.
Oh, she's an ages old. That is the club. I can't help it.
You're sounding better there now.
Okay. The point I wanted to get was the same point that you just started making to the previous caller about the gentleman who was charged. If it is that he was guilty after all those months, how will you can build a case? This is the ticklish part with everything that is going on, you know. It is not about what or how, you know. Is what happens to people. And if you look at the areas that will be classified as the zones that they will want to go after are areas where you're dealing with the lower middle class. These are poor people. These are daily paid people. These are the hustlers who, if they don't go out and work every day, they do not get their money. They do not survive. Right? But we have to sit down and look at something. I want to be brief tonight. I'm going to draw reference to two things. There was a video that came out post 9/11 that spoke of the rise of a police state.
Oh, caller, please. Something happened there. Something happened there just now, eh? Mr. Manning, I want to get back that caller, boy. He was making a salient point. Caller, sorry about that. I don't know what happened there. Go ahead.
I was saying two things.
Yeah.
A DVD that came out post 9/11 that spoke about how people's rights were easily being eroded, and next thing you know, you're living under a police state, right? And the other one is a book called None Dare Call It Conspiracy. And people will start to understand what is going on. I don't know if the news was right tonight, but there was a story that came out that the president of the U.S. says it's all a Greenland he wants and nothing else. How we got to a place where trade is now limited, that I want a commodity you have, but I don't want to pay for it, I must just take it. We have to be careful where we can end up as a little country. There's more that I want to talk about, but I tell you, Pastor Google, I'm watching my words because, as Captain Dindial say, there are recordings that are taking place, and you have to be careful how you phrase what you're saying. As my grandfather and my father used to say, it's not what you say, but how you say what you say. Because it is very easy to misunderstand the English language. I would leave it there for now. I look on and I listening.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Hello, good evening.
Hello, good night.
Hi, good evening. Hi, good evening.
Good night to Mr. Manning as well as Commander India. I want to make a point this evening. I live in Marbella West, specifically Marbella. We all know that Marbella is a very depressed community, right, socioeconomically. In 2011, during the first SOE under this current minister, my friends and I were lying in the streets, right? And we were assaulted by police officers as well as members of the regiment at the age of 15 years. I want to tell everybody tonight, I want to tell the nation tonight, we must never be so desperate as a society for a solution to crime that we allow the state to take away our rights. Because I know firsthand what it feels like for those who are supposed to uphold law and order to take advantage of the citizenry. At the end of the day, these men and women, I'm not saying all of them are bad, but they are human beings. They are not infallible. And power corrupts. We need to be mindful of that. Thank you very much.
I could not have said it any better, Pastor Google. That's exactly right. I think we all want a solution to crime. What we are saying is that this is not it. Where people can lose their rights, people can come into your home without a warrant. The Prime Minister could stay in her bed and decide that you can't leave your house from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. That's just not the way. We need proper policing. We need proper programs to ensure that vulnerable people have an opportunity to make an honest living. And it takes work. It takes a holistic program to really deal with the roots and causes of crime. This doesn't deal with the causes of crime. It is a lazy, slapdash, cut and paste measure they got from another country. While it is they put in vulnerable people on the breadline by canceling CPEP and URP and I know you make work programs, which are employing some vulnerable people, while they get rid of all the youth programs, all the youth training programs. You explain to me why any government would cut youth training programs. Somebody explain that to me. Why would they do that? That is to give some of the more vulnerable people in this country an opportunity to make an honest living. They get rid of all of that. And they have plans to imprison people and to build a new prison compound in Terminal Park, which was supposed to be an industrial estate, to create more opportunity for our country. How does that make any sense? How does that make any good sense?
Good evening, caller.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
All I have to say is thank Lord that man, the second already, the caller who called 2 callers before, he's not an independent senator. They sure get he vote.
All right, sir. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Pastor Google.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening to MP Brian Manning and good evening to Commander Dindiel. Excellent contributions from all this afternoon, this evening. I want to tell the caller who says that he doesn't have a problem because nobody in his area, right, he doesn't know anybody in his area who has been held or locked up or anything like that. It's only when it happens to you, sir, or somebody very close to you, then you would understand. And you would really see exactly what it is like for somebody to tell you when to bathe, how to share a toilet, and what to eat. And then perhaps, what is dangerous about this particular bill, this piece of legislation, is that after 6 months, that the Prime Minister only has to return to the Parliament and says that he wants to extend a particular area for another 6 months, 180 days. That's
6 months.
No debate in the Parliament. You understand? And if you are there incarcerated for 6 months without having to go to court or anything like that, only to find out, well, you're going to be here for another 6 months because your area continues to be a zone of special operations.
Let's make people go mad.
Where barley grow. Have a good evening.
You
So, Pastor Google,
yeah.
Apart from saying all these things, I mean, me and MP Manning, we have gone through this, and your callers are saying that we're showing you where this legislation is taking us down this rabbit hole and making us a police state. It's showing you where we are giving up our constitutional rights. We are showing you where you're leaving all your freedoms out there. But here's what, and at the risk of sounding controversial on your show, listen, you want to give this power to a person who say, empty the matic? You want to give this power to a person who say, you want to give this power to a person who say, kill them all violently? This is the kind of power that you...
Commander Dindial. Commander Dindial. Wow. What you just said there, I really hope Trinidadians listen to what you just said there. And you see, it is sad because when we are selfish thinking, that is how people, when you will hear persons calling and say, if I have to, in order to keep me safe, make them uncomfortable.
Until it happened to me, then I don't like it.
Yeah. I'll be the first to come out and say, stop it.
Yeah, I'll be the first.
Wow.
Well, you know that, as I said, we already said that taping our conversations here, so I definitely can't fly to the United States, eh?
Oh, Lord. My goodness. We have a caller. We have a caller from Britain calling in. I believe. No, this look like an American caller. Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Pastor Google.
Where are you calling me from?
Good evening. I'm calling from New York, but I'm a Trinidad citizen.
Okay, so you're calling us from New York.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. New York. Go ahead.
Yeah, when the Prime Minister was sworn in, what did she sworn in by?
The Constitution.
And is she following the Constitution right now?
You gotta ask MP Manning that.
She's attempting to what is it? To put aside the Constitution for segments of our society.
That's what I really wanted to find out, because if she's following the Constitution, whatever bill they are trying to pass, that's not following the Constitution at all.
Well,
Wow.
I mean, some may argue that it may be unconstitutional. I mean, I was surprised that to see it. I think there will be challenges to it in the courts going forward. So that is something for the courts to determine at this point in time. I am shocked that with the majority that they have, that the government would have the kind of power to pass this kind of legislation. It surprised me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, caller.
Yeah, another person will be visiting home on a regular basis. No?
Well, some people say that this reminds them of ISIS, you know.
Yeah, well, that's what I want to say right now, because it looks like ISIS coming to Trinidad. Trinidad ISIS.
Wow.
Okay, that's my that is my
2 cents.
contribution right now.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, all right, bye.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you know, Commander Dindial, you know that is the conversation and MP Manning that some people are having, right? That some people see this legislation as ISIS.
Well, the legislation, if it is passed, and I hope it's not passed, and we become that police state, we can see that it's her best friend wants to bring back the Monroe Doctrine, and her best friend has ICE in the States. So it will be like you're having Trinidad and Tobago ICE.
Hello, good evening, caller.
Good evening, gentlemen. I just wanted to leave that one for the caller who your mind and ask him to just go and look at Martin Niemöller and what he said in Nazi Germany and how it affected him. See, at first they came for the socialist. I was not socialist, so I wasn't worried. Then they came for the communists. I was not communist, so I wasn't worried. Then they came for the atheists. I was not atheist, so I wasn't worried. Then they came for the trade unions. So I was worried. Then they came for me. And you know what? There was no one for me. And Martin Niemöller ended up losing his life. That's what will happen to that caller. If this law is passed tomorrow, and if it comes law because of the senators tomorrow, and it receives presidential assent, we'll be stepping into Nazi Germany in 1933. Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, caller, Pastor, I want to say, we're going back, not Nazi Germany. We've seen it happening in Minnesota. We're going to ICE. You're going to see those things happening in the
Come on, that Dindial, you know the tape in here.
Yeah. I already know I can't go nowhere.
Oh, gosh. Hey. So those of you who joining us on YouTube, I'm seeing the numbers on YouTube. Mr. Manning, would you all let's come on the YouTube and create this jump in numbers, boy. Come on,
Yeah,
that
this
Dindial
has
and
been
Mr. Manning.
important. It's important.
Yeah. I have to say that. And right now, our numbers on YouTube has gone very, very high. We have close to how much persons looking at us on YouTube now? 2,860 persons watching us on YouTube. So let me say good evening to you guys. Thank you all very much for being a part. And, we are discussing, this matter. And, Commander Dindial, let's keep reiterating the point that we need to lobby and we need to ask nicely to our independent senators to really be independent and think on behalf of Trinidad and Tobago. That's what we want. We want our.
That's the only that's the only peaceful way of doing it now, and I'm using my words selectively. That's the only peaceful way of doing it now, because the other alternative, we don't want to think about the alternative. And I'm saying a lot by keeping silent.
Yes, I know that. And really and truly, you know, people want to protest, you know. The people of Trinidad and Tobago want to go out on the streets
since the national budget. Since the budget, people want to protest. But they're stifling people with this contrived SOE. That's what they're doing.
So let me ask you this, Mr. Manning.
You're right.
So let me ask you this, Mr. Manning.
The public peaceful protest.
All right, so let me ask you this.
Already being infringed. That's the power of an SOE.
All right, so let me ask you this, Mr. Manning. Let me ask you all this. Are you all saying to us that we cannot protest at all? We cannot.
At this point in time?
Yeah.
I do not believe it's legal.
Wow.
If you remember, what was it? But for the after the election and Parliament for the CPEP and URP workers.
Oh yes,
we had a little vigil around the what you call it, Woodford Square there.
Yeah, I was there.
And you wanted to march around Woodford Square in front of the Red House.
Single file.
And they wouldn't allow us to do so. Single file.
Single file. I remember that. Single file.
We were not allowed to do that. You were not allowed to walk single file in front of the Red House because it would have constituted a protest. And that was illegal at the time because of the SOE. So your rights are infringed.
Commander,
on a normal day, anybody could walk single file in front of the Red House and nobody will give them any trouble. I can have a placard on a Friday in front of the Red House and no problems. You cannot do that under an SOE.
We can be issued a detention order and we can be taken down to any one of those detention cells and held until the SOE expires.
What? Commander Didial, say that one more time. Commander Didial, you need to say that one more time. If I decide to gather a bunch of my friends and we decide that we want to protest, we say, you know what's going on. We're going out by the Parliament building and we go in to say, we fed up. That's what we chanting. We fed up. Are you what are you saying can happen to us, Kamala Dindial?
Well, you have to first of all decide where you want to stay because where they're going to put you somewhere.
And it's not the Hyatt.
What are they saying? Wow.
And you're not going to be arrested. You're still going to be detained. A detention order. And that can be signed by the minister now for now. Easily.
Wow.
That's you have no rights. We have no rights. And I've been trying to inform people, educate them. An SOE, that's what an SOE. You have given up all your constitutional rights. And I think, that's something that we need to bring back in the schools in Trinidad and Tobago. We don't have patriots anymore. We don't teach these things. I mean, unlike the Latin American communities where people actually, when they're raising their flag, people sing the anthem, people stand at attention. In Trinidad and Tobago, people are ashamed to sing the anthem. I don't know why why they don't do it. I sing the anthem loud. I'm proud of being a Trinidadian, but we have to bring these things back in school. We have to start the education back from our people who are 15 years old. Standard 5. Let's say not standard 5. I'm sorry. From Form 5. But our civics and stuff need to be brought back from the smaller in the primary schools. But we have to teach the Constitution. We are talking about the Constitution here. Me and MP Manning are talking about the Constitution. And you could just ask yourself, just our listeners out there, how many people have actually picked up the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago and perused it? I ain't say read it, just peruse it.
Wow.
That's a small number.
Let's take this call. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening to Mr. Manning, MP Manning. Good afternoon to Commander Dindia. I have a short comment to make. I remember looking at the Parliament and the Attorney General in the early first sitting. He pointed to the opposition and said, "I'm coming for you and you and you."
Correct.
A lot of people remember that. And
correct.
This is how dangerous this whole setting is. And I respect what Commander Dindia is saying, and also MP Manning and you, Pastor Google, because a lot of people still don't understand what we are going to be facing. And I started to think, really, that the independent senators is going to really look at this thing, listen to what is going on, and reject this outright. Because I am saying, why I am a law-abiding, I am saying it is very scary for what I am hearing, what I understand this localized state of emergency is. This ZOSO is about a limited state of emergency in the areas. So I well appreciate what you two gentlemen is putting out here to the public, and a lot of people not grasping at what's happening, because when we heard that caller who said what he said, I mean, come on, he had to be living under a rock. So, gentlemen, I appreciate what's happening. Pastor Google, I always tell you, keep doing good work, and we are here to support. Have a great evening.
Thank you very much, caller.
Thank you for your call. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. You see, Commander Dindial and MP Manning, this evening program is very important, and it because people always call in from time to time and say why we not protesting, and we rolling over and we allowing ourselves to be abused by this government. But Commander Dindial and Mr. Manning, you all are really informing and letting the listeners and viewers know that this is bigger than just walking out there on the around Woodford Square. This is calculated. Let me take this call. Hello, good evening.
Good evening to you, Pastor Google.
Good evening, sir.
And to my namesake, Member of Parliament, Mr. Manning and Commander, Max Operation.
Good evening, good evening.
Good evening.
So, Pastor Google, you reached the cyber unit checking you out now?
Yeah, right.
I tell you.
Commander Dindia, that's why I like to bring him on the show. it means that I impacted somewhere. I am influencing people.
Yes, your audience getting bigger.
Say that again, Commander.
According to Commander Dindia,
cyber unit going to take down this show too.
Well, Mr. Manning, they might take it off because Brian is a friend.
As my namesake, I know these gentlemen quite well. My God, Commander Dindia, so I want to agree with your, what you put forward on the table to the audience today. We don't need these special zones of operation to make a dent in the criminal activity. I wonder, Commander Dindia MP Manning, if you remember a former minister now deceased called Martin Joseph.
Yep.
Remember that fella?
Yes.
Of course.
And at that time, what did that learned gentleman say? We know who all the gangs are, where they are, how much members they have, and their operations. So the length and breadth of Trinidad and Tobago. That was since then. So no administration can come now and say they don't have the data. They don't have the information that could drive intelligence-driven operations, Commander. So if we have all this information and all this data to do these operations, just like they do for what's coming up now, not Carnival?
Yep.
And they sit down with gold commanders and they sit down and plan and this. not a man moves in Port of Spain or any of the venues where there's operations for Carnival. If anyone in this audience have been to this Nevada, the Sin City itself in the United States, you cannot go into that space and misbehave. Just like what happens here during the 2 days of Carnival, that festival. But they do it 24/7. You cannot go in that place and misbehave. And Trinidad and Tobago could fit in a river in the United States. Per capita, our size, the only thing that this is telling me, Pastor Google, and to Commander Dindial and the Member of Parliament, is that something wrong. Something is wrong.
Something wrong.
Yes, what is missing here and absent in the whole scheme of things is one word, the big C, corruption.
Wow.
If there's an absence of corruption in certain agencies, we're not having this conversation. Trinidad and Tobago is too small with the amount of police officers in the TTPS to be having these errant problems back and forth. If we have the intelligence under our arms, it tells me that there is corruption in the system. Because if we know and we're not acting, then what we have in these special zones of operations, to do what? To do what they would be doing right now? Because they are clamping down on a certain sector of the society that is being grossly affected in terms of what they can and cannot do, and the rest of everybody else since Christmas Eve to Ash Wednesday is having a jolly good time. So we have the jolly big Santa Man, followed by the Merry Monarch coming now.
Yeah, you know what I say? You know what I say? Come on, let the caller and Mr. Manning. Right now, Trinidadians are enjoying themselves. They're packing the savannah.
Jolly good time.
They're having a really, really good time. They're high on the carnival cocaine. You see, when that cocaine wear off in March, April, and May, and when there's a budget that comes up, Mr. Manning,
mid-year review.
Mid-year review. When is that?
Mid-year review.
It should be April. April. Yeah. Good luck.
Merry Monarch in full play.
May, around there.
I think, you know, are you, man? So young well asked me a question today. You know, asked me, is there any way we can get back with vote? I said, no, you had to go through this for 5 years, brother. You had to take this jamming for 5 years.
3 months and 14 days.
Pastor Google, I warned them. I said, don't take the fridge today, and I'm not putting it tomorrow. Right? Don't take the stove they're giving you today, and then you have no job, and your children have no youth training programs. We went to the people and we said so, and the UNC is true to form exactly what they were doing in 2010. They came straight back with the same nonsense, and we allowed them to do it yet again. Yet again, all the public servants with their 10%, that 10% going right back in taxes and NIS increased NIS contribution. They're not getting to enjoy no 10%. They even get 10% yet. All that 10% before Christmas. They never got 10% before Christmas.
But the next thing is
4% and the rest in whatever, government, whatever. I don't know.
And now we're looking and we're listening and we're realizing that the teachers are not going to get any of their increases. We also, I heard tonight where the RHAs, the nurses that are attached to the RHAs are having problems because they believe that they're going to be taking all the money for the NIS in this month's salary coming here and they're going to increase. So yeah, that should be laughing.
I have a question from Mr. Manning. So they shut down carnival events in your area, down in south, on the Brian Lara Stadium. So if they say noise pollution for a stadium that's in the bush, But up in Hyatt at 679 US, sold out.
679 US?
Hello? 679 US, sold out.
They want
Sold out.
tell all the cocaine still
Imagine-
fresh.
Right? Imagine people fetting in the Hyatt and you locked down in your house and your whole community locked down and can't leave their home and people kicking in their door. How are they supposed to feel?
So
Good
the
luck.
question is, the people around the Hyatt, the communities around the Hyatt, not going to be affected by the noise pollution coming from Hyatt?
No. They
No.
face
I
in the
just
stage.
asking for a friend.
They face in the stage to the sea. Caller, have a good evening. Yes, laughing too scandalous.
Thank
Have
you
a
very
good
much,
evening,
Ampa.
caller. You ain't easy now. You just called to laugh scandalous. So many people them live. Let me say good evening. I want to say good evening to a friend of mine who is listening. She's a counselor in the Port of Spain Corporation. She's listening very quietly on the live. And all the persons who are listening outside of Trinidad and Tobago, Mr. Manning, I didn't tell you, but I should have told you from before. I should have warned you from before. I don't know if I warned you and told you that we are also streaming live on a radio station in the UK right now. You know, because there are Trinidadians in the UK who want to know what is happening. And when I told them that I was having Commander Dindial and MP Brian Manning, they said, nah, we had to stream that live. So let's see.
Tell them I'm coming to a line soon. Have a line ready. I'm coming.
You go in London?
And maybe sometime next year. I don't know. I don't know exactly the schedule, but next year I should visit for a little period of time.
Look at how you get through. What?
I can't go nowhere. I can't go nowhere. I might have a passport.
Yeah, Commander Dindial. Yeah, Commander Dindial. Where's the Commander?
I tell you, I might not have a passport. I can't go nowhere. But listen, my zone, they might lock me down. You know, I can't go nowhere. You know, my house might be a zone of special operation.
That is true. Yeah.
If I don't get locked down, they'll see me. So let me hope my community doesn't get locked down.
Wow. This, we laughing and we making fun of certain things, but the reality of it is that this is going to affect people. This is going to affect people.
Pastor Gogo, it is very, very concerning and I believe very, very dangerous. You don't give up your constitutional rights. Without that, you have nothing. I believe you don't have a country or a nation if you don't have rights, if you don't have the rule of law. Then what do you have? You have what? You have the Walking Dead. You have some post-apocalyptic society. Everybody where might is right and people can just do what they want. You don't have a society without rule of law.
Wow. Well, closing remarks, Commander Dindial. Seeing that you are our guest. Because Mr. Manning always here, you know.
I would say the same thing that I've said earlier on today. I can only lobby to our independent senators out there to please be independent. Look at this bill, recognize that we are giving up our constitutional rights. And it's not only for us, it's for the people of Trinidad and Tobago, it's all for the young people, it's for everybody here. It's because it's going to affect us outside there, how the world sees us, marginalizing communities. We need to not pass this bill. And if it goes that way, if they do pass this bill, Mr. Manning, I guess we may have to actually take our protest hats out and do something, positive to go out there and decide.
I'm pretty sure the party will decide to do something to step things up a bit if this bill passes. I know we're doing some lobbying right now at this point in time, and we'll wait to see what happens in the Senate.
Let's hope the Senate actually does what it's supposed to do, and that bill they debate it thoroughly and do not fall for those crumbs and stuff that people are putting out there, those sound bites.
Beautiful. So me say thank you all very, very much for being with me this evening. Well, what could I book you guys to come back on after the Senate debate on tomorrow? We can look for could we do a program on Wednesday, please, God?
I can't say at this point in time, but I'll do my best.
All right, Commander Dindial.
Same here. I think I may have an earlier up engagement, but we will see what we can do.
All right. Thank you all very, very much. And look forward to hearing from you guys after the debate in the Senate on Tuesday. So thank you all very much again for being a part of Constructive Talk this evening.
Anything for you, Pastor Google. You know the voice of San Fernando. When you call, I come running.
Well, Mama Guy, real politician talking about Commander Dindial. Let me hear you now, Commander Dindial.
All I will tell you is thank you very much for having me. But here's what you have to be careful because you see cybercrime unit coming for you and they're coming to take down. You're looking for your phone and they're looking for your laptop. So I don't know if you will continue to have me on your program.
Of course I will. Of course I will, come on. And you're like, Commander, like when you stick off the political hat and you just put it back on when you're ready. Hey, good night, brothers. Good night. Thanks again.
All the best, everyone. Take care of yourself.
All right, bye-bye. So we just heard from Commander Dindial and my MP, Mr. Brian Manning, on the issue of the special zones, boy. Hey, let's listen to what we just talked about.
The Zones of Special Operations Bill would empower Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar to designate special zones in areas where there are reasonable grounds to believe criminality, gang violence, or threats to public order are widespread. According to the bill's explanatory notes, the aim is to restore the rule of law through joint security force operations while safeguarding the rights of people who live and work within the affected communities. Once a zone is declared, the community will be notified by way of a notice, and a joint command made up of senior defense force and TTPS officers would take charge. Their powers include establishing cordons, imposing curfews for up to 72 hours, and conducting searches of people, vehicles, and premises without a warrant, based on reasonable suspicion. A declaration could last up to 180 days, subject to parliamentary oversight. The Prime Minister or the Minister responsible for national security would also be required to report to Parliament within 14 days of declaring a zone. Political analyst Dr. Shane Mohammed believes public frustration with crime has created space for tougher measures. He argued that this has been successful and will bring positive results. Now, the bill outlines safeguards, including limits on detention, mandatory court oversight, and access to attorneys and medical care. It also introduces penalties of up to $50,000 and a year in prison for obstructing security forces operating within a zone. There is also a $20,000 fine on summary conviction for giving a false name or address. In addition to security operations, a social development committee would be established to address long-term economic and social conditions in affected communities. Joint Forces members will also wear body cameras as far as possible, and their weapons will be lodged at the Forensic Science Center. The legislation requires a special 3/5 majority to pass, which the government has with its 28 MPs, including the 2 Tobago seats.
What are they touching me? They're not touching me. I want them to know, don't give the fellas on them on Nelson Street no frame case. We fed up. That's all I want them to do. You think what I'm going on with the Island? Because you're a Christian. You know why? Because I know how you beat up my son and I don't forget to know. I forget you know. So Ian, really looking at V4, you go on the hood.
That's all. Something is not right. Something is not right. Something is not right. Something is not right. Something is right. Something is right. Something is not right.
Persons who were the first persons incidentally to be arrested under the anti-gang legislation.
Former Prime Minister and Attorney at Law Basil Pandey showed up to lend support to the men.
Why were they charged? They were charged, to me,
as an excuse to hold them.
The men held for the past 3 weeks at the so-called Guantanamo Bay section of the Aruca jail were simply thankful that they were no longer subjected to the treatment meted out at the facility.
This party was, tell them as it is graphic as you could. Worst conditions, you can't sleep, one bath a day. The way you're sleeping, you have to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go and bathe. They give you some minutes, then they want to beat you.
Now that they are out, Gawking and several of the other former detainees say they plan to keep well away from the authorities for fear that they may be given other cases. Gawking says the men have suffered enough and have made a special appeal for society not to stereotype them.
I is no gang member, I related to no gang. I never had no shooting case, I never been charged for no robbery, nothing. And all the people who looking to discriminate me, I just say I leave it up to God.
Lawyers for the 21 men, however, are planning to have the courts deal with the matter. According to them, several of their clients lost sources of income and property because of charges laid against them. They are currently exploring their clients' legal options.
Fines like the man with the B14, who say he B14 is only 13,000, he get $15,000 in ticket. The best thing for him to do is to sell the B14, pay off that and try to see if he could hold the money and see how he could get money to buy back a car. Let me be real. That makes no sense. Uncle Rowley them talk about coal pot and bicycle, but Auntie Kamala them come and enforce it in me days if you already look at it. Rowley didn't do nothing, only Rowley mouth was disrespectful.
But let me say this now on your real, right? Listen to this, right? Listen to this, right?
Well, Rowley's a Scorpio, you know. Rowley birthday is the day before mine, the 25th, and I say 26th. So people don't really like the blood truth.
Please. I can get a chance to say this, please. Rowley may have had his way, but Rowley pulled this country through one of the major crises ever, which was the pandemic. Give props where props is due. Where other countries, a lot of people was dying out, not much of ours died. Right? Another thing is, right? If they allow the voice of the youth, hear them right now, should take the grounds. Take the grounds right now, because the youth and the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago are crying out. We are crying. There's a lot of people on the breadline drastically. It's that people drop their children out of school because they have no money and no food.
You're correct. Could I say something for a minute, Miss Kitty and the panel, please? All right. Good evening to everybody. I don't normally come up on panels, but I'm just letting you guys know. I supported the UNC for this time for change. I did not vote for a party in 199 days for over 62,000 people to be jobless. We were lied to, we were fooled. She said ask the taxes, but if you check up the taxes now for landlords, it is 1.3% more than even what Imbert had. So she making Imbert look like a king, right? What I could tell you is I'm hearing people talking about Rowley mouth this and Rowley mouth that. I wish I could vote for Dr. Rowley right now to bring back PNL. People suffer in this country, and why, if the 31st of March, the SOE is out, and they have a riot in this country, or they have people stand up on the highway, no license officer, no police could give everybody ticket from Grand Bazaar to San Fernando.
Correct, is right.
And then another.
It says an African proverb, but it could be a Trinidadian and Tobagonian proverb. I want to start by reading a quote for you that is trending online now. Someone sent it to me and I saw it so many times. I think it's good for us to read this quote. I'm sure when I start to read it, you will be familiar with it. It says, out of hatred for the cockroach, the ants voted for the insecticide. Out of hatred for the cockroach, the ants voted for the insecticide. They all died. big on in detail, including the housefly that didn't even vote. They all died, including the housefly that didn't even vote. It says an African proverb, but it could be a Trinidadian and Tobagonian proverb.
I said give me a F, O, and let them know that is the code. Oh Lord, some say the code is this, some tell we it's that, but I go hear the facts. Give me. We experiencing a global phenomenon. With serious issues, mankind choose to fool around. Then they go find out, facing real consequences, that when you play dottish games, you win foolish prizes. The mighty US of A, look how them in disarray, because they forget the first dose of madness. So with the short-term memory, they welcome back Donald T to give that fascist a second term in office. But after they take the bait and they realize where's the fate, enough of them want to change the vote, but it is too late. You see the FA, FO, you see the FA, now they go FO. Plenty immigrants made their choice. Uncle Donald they supporting, but he put their support on ice and themselves he start deporting. FA, FO, I said the FA, now they go FO. But now Donald breaks in because it now so keen. He naming the Epstein files, so they now studying like they voting a presidential pedophile. FA, FO, I said the FA, now they go FO. You see when you're ever wrong, there's no doubt. Even Uncle Sam will find out that what's sour in Bam Bam starts sweet in the mouth. When you shout FA, FO, I tell you that is, tell them that is the call. Oh, say, can you see? You see the call? Come in. Trinidadian love all fours, you know that is the truth. So when America Trump, we just follow suit. If them MAGA morons is America's concern, well, we present government is easily their clones. From 2010 to 15, the tenure was so obscene, scandalize the land and destroy we economy. But like we missed the free for all, incompetence and bubble, so we bring them back to finish mash up the country. And as they assume their roles, I set a square peg in wrong holes. Now plenty people who help them win at the polls. Feel the FA, FO, they say the FA, now they go FO. The two worst Alexanders in the world and team make ministers. One is a racist troll and one need a West Indian first primer. FA, FO, I said the FA, now we go FO. Meanwhile Tanti setting up TNT in people worship where we in place. She should have let the Yankee army plant the red eye in she pink palace. FA, FO, I said the FA, now she go FO. You see when you're ever wrong, there's no doubt. Persona non grata must find out that what's sour in Bam Bam starts sweet in she mouth. Sing it out. FA, FO, tell them that is, tell them that is the code. Cause when code yellow wins, corruption begins. Where's the real code? Let me talk to the doc. Doc, you had the mandate of most of the electorate, not to mention the support of your party base. Somehow you took that to mean you could manipulate and dictate the decision of who should take your place. And because you were the top dog, you move like an overlord. You find when you tell them jump, they should have asked how high. You set out to sway the vote, offer up a young scapegoat to just get a kobo sweat after you say bye-bye. You delay party convention, play with party constitution, and figure you could have gerrymander the outcome of your FA, FO, your FA, and then your FO. You chain up the young man for truth to snap the election fingers fast. Although every poll warn you that would have be a shortcut as FA, FO, your FA, now all of we FO. So for your voters who stayed away, you certainly have a part to play. Cause they feel like they get betrayed, like it has snake in the valleys. FA, FO, I say your FA. When you're ever wrong without doubt, even strong leaders find out that what's sour in bam bam starts sweet in the mouth. When you shout F.A., F.O., and that is, tell them that is the code. So let's do this red and ready to oppose. Give me a F, give me a A, another F.
So let me say thank you very, very much to those of you who would have joined me on Constructive Talk today. And I say thank you all very, very much for being with me. Really appreciate the fact that you would have taken the time to be with me today. And talk to you guys tomorrow, please God. Tomorrow, please God. Let's see if you will have another guest. And let's hear what they will have to say.
And our presenter on Facebook and YouTube is for general informational purposes only. All information is provided in good faith. However, Constructive Talk makes no representation or warranty of any kind, express or implied, regarding the accuracy, adequacy, validity, reliability, availability, or completeness of this information.